welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. My name is Ben Errington, and today I'm joined by regular co-host Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner, for those watching the video, currently appearing as the monkey. How you doing, everybody?
Currently appearing as the monkey, a very evil wind-up toy version of Andy. Uh, and we're joined by a very, very special returning guest, Terrelle Graham. He is a horror enthusiast, film critic, and podcaster. Welcome back to the show, Terrelle. Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me back on. Excited to talk about the monkey.
Yeah, man. Well, we're very glad to have you back. It's been a little while. Was it Alien Romulus the last time?
I think that was the last one, yeah, which doesn't seem too long ago, but I guess it is now.
Yeah,
Quite a few
it
months
is.
have passed.
Yeah, quite a few months have passed. But yeah, you've been busy. You've been consuming all of the horror that's out there to consume as well, haven't you? And you're still podcasting. You're still writing reviews on movies as well.
Yeah, towards the end of the year, I realized actually I missed out on quite a few horror films last year towards the end. So I
Yeah, you
had like
did.
this little spree in December where I was catching up on quite a few. I think it's because and it's a good thing, there's just so much coming out all the time now, I feel. Like almost week to week, there's just loads. And then when you go on Shudder, there's even more. I
Yeah,
do like that there's just so much of it nowadays to just indulge in.
exactly. Yeah.
Content is infinite. Same shame that time is not.
Did you?
This comes from the podcast where I've begun watching, as notably, contemporary series that ran from 1987 to 1990, which we'll no doubt discuss later.
Yeah, and I've even started it as well, Andy. So we'll get into that.
I've got him on board. We're going to get Terrell before we're finished
Is this
talking
the
about it
Friday the
today.
13th?
Yeah. Oh
It
yeah. Go on.
absolutely is.
I
Well
saw the
knows.
post and I thought, I never knew that existed either. I
Oh,
was like,
it's
what?
tell
There's a
you what,
TV show?
do yourself a
yeah.
favor, mate. Get stuck in.
It's so weird. Well, hopefully we'll have another convert by the end of the show. Did you have a favorite horror of 2024 in the end after consuming everything you had to
Um,
consume at the end of the year?
Yeah, it was The Substance for me, which was my number one film overall.
Yeah,
I think just my experience with that, watching that in the cinema because I watched it twice in the cinema, but the first time watching it and just the experience of that film as it keeps escalating, I think that was just a really memorable experience. And I loved
yeah,
what the film was doing in terms of like the little balance of comedy and then just the horror stuff, but then also like the kind of the depth in the message that it was trying to tell as well about like how you
yeah,
perceive yourself. And I thought that was just really, really good.
Makes
yeah.
for
A great
three of us unanimous.
unanimous.
I know
Yeah, I
you
mean,
had was you were Nosferatu, aren't you, Ben?
no. My number one was The Substance as well.
How time flies.
How
Can't
time
remember
flies,
anything. Getting
exactly, and
old.
and obviously amazing that it's been nominated for Academy Awards as well. And some people may think that's super important, some people may not, but still, for a horror movie to get that attention from the Academy when it doesn't happen all that often, does it? It's a pretty
And
big
for
deal.
like that type of film as well is quite surprising.
Yeah,
I'd almost think something like Hereditary would be more suited for like
you're
that type
right.
of
Yeah,
award show. But then the fact that the Substance managed to break through is kind of even more surprising.
yeah. You feel like The Substance could be a film which the Academy liked up until a point, and then went, you
Yeah.
know what, this might be slightly too much. I mean, but yeah.
Because it's
If
almost like the type of film you'd think that would validate their like negative connotations of what horror can
Yeah,
be at a
exactly. Yeah.
point. And then
Oh,
they were like, oh yeah, we'll nominate that one.
it's just blood and guts and just yeah, crazy effects and geysers of blood just like spraying around the room. I don't know. See if they
Either
can
that or just
recreate that
completely
moment.
missing the point and saying for most outstanding performance in a horror movie, Dennis Quaid is the man in that film. That would be the type of thing you might
Dennis
expect
Quaid
from the
as
Academy.
man eating prawns close up.
As
Just
horrible prawn
Jesus,
man.
horrible prawn man. Um, yeah. So in terms of things that you've seen recently, and I know what we've been watching. We will get into, of course, but I guess I wanted to talk to you about Heart Eyes because that's the film we talked about last week, and you like that film. You had quite a lot to say about it as well. So I was just going to ask how you felt about that.
Yeah, I was quite surprised by Heart Eyes because I only saw like a clip from one of the trailers. So all I knew is it was a slasher film on Valentine's Day, and I just went into it with that kind of idea, and I kind of just assumed it was going to be one of those kind of really generic kind of horror films, like a
Mm.
Truth or Dare or something like that. And then I was quite pleasantly surprised that because I'm not a rom-com person, but I was pleasantly surprised at how much of a rom-com that film was, and I
Yeah.
did kind of gravitate towards the two leads, and I thought they were bouncing off each other quite well with the chemistry,
Yeah.
and like to the point where I was like satisfied enough just watching the rom-com heart to that
Absolutely,
film as
yeah.
it was, and then every now and again it'd be like, oh, it is, oh yeah, it's a horror film, of course, and then that bit kind of comes into it, and it kind of felt a bit like Scream in a way, and yeah,
Mm,
I kind of like really enjoyed it. The only thing that I thought was let it down a bit was the kind of final reveal, but it kind of
yeah.
made sense in a way. But like for the rest of it, I like really had a lot of fun with it.
I think we kind of felt the same where I think up until the reveal is when it falls apart. And I feel like a lot of modern slashers are suffering from that, where they go, here's quite a unique take on the slasher genre, but by the time we get to the actual reveal, like it's all kind of the same as it's always been, unless it
Yeah, it's like they all, sorry, it's like
well,
they
just
all in the shadow of Scream, and they all
yeah,
suddenly think, well, we've got to do a Scream thing now, and then
yeah.
instead of like trying to do their own little
I feel like what
thing
we
at the
need to
end of them.
do is rather than do it as a who done it and a scream reveal, the killer needs to be uh just a killer, just
Like
a, like
peeping
a
Tom from the beginning. Like, here's a fella that you've seen from the
it's just, well,
beginning.
just a person that we don't find out who it is, and also let's not kill off these slasher villains that we're establishing. Let's make them, and we can't kill them again because I
More
don't know. I
films
feel like
that end in
that's
a question mark, like the end, really.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
Um,
think it would have worked better that way. Like if the killer was just like a Jason, where it's like it's just a thing, it's a person, who knows who it
yeah,
is, and they're just there. Like
I love it. I love the thought of let's take his bloody mask off. Oh my god, it's his face. Ah, that's great. Love that stuff. Love that stuff. Um, yeah, and obviously the film we're talking about today is Osgood Perkins' film, and obviously it's based on a Stephen King property as well. You liked Long Legs, didn't you? I think you saw it a few times. Is that right? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, so I did like it. I didn't love it as much as most people did, or I didn't think it was like the scariest movie like it was promoted as, but I did enjoy it quite a lot, and I like what Nick Cage was doing with it. I thought there was such a weirdness to like aspects of that film that I just really liked, like how strange it was and how
Yeah,
strange it got with certain parts of it.
very strange. Yeah, and I mean like this is tonally like so different, The Monkey, isn't it? Like it's weird to think it's from the same filmmaker. I mean, I find it hard to see that kind of that to recognize that it was the same filmmaker. I don't know if you felt the same.
Yeah, I thought, and not to jump the gun, but like I thought that like the way I described it when I wrote my review was that like Long Legs felt like the work of like an auteur, like horror director who you can
Yeah,
like look at it and you'd be like, this is like a specific style, this is that director's style. If you see some of his other films, you can see like elements of that. And I
yeah,
felt like The Monkey looked like it was like just directed by anyone. Like
yeah.
in comparison, it just looked quite generic in how it was executed, I
I see
felt.
what you mean. Yeah, I don't know.
Funnily enough, I would have been drawing the parallels together in a vacuum. I would have believed it was by Josh Rubin, the same director as Heart Eyes, before I would think of it as being um the same Osgood Perkins, the same as Longlegs. These feel things they feel more of a more kinship than those two movies that were just they're very different. I mean, more power to him. Obviously, he's got range.
Yeah, it's weird though, isn't it? Because with a director like that, so like an auteur, like you do, it's nice to have range, but also I feel like it's equally as important to have a style that's kind of like recognizable in a way. Like this is a very like absurdist film, isn't it? Really, like, and Long Legs is a weird one because it is almost like a crime, a weird crime thriller with some supernatural elements. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting combination. But yeah, another Stephen King property, like not just his books, not but like we're going after short stories. I know that's obviously been done before as well. Any of you guys familiar with the short story? I did actually listen to the audiobook, and to be fair, it's pretty much like exactly how it plays out in the film.
I've never heard it or read it, I'm afraid, so I'm relying on you
Yeah, I
two.
didn't. Yeah, I wasn't aware of it until into this film got announced. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't even know that was a story.
Yeah. I guess it plays out fairly similar, and it's got the similarities to Final Destination are there as well, aren't they? But I guess I don't know, maybe not as inventive. Like a lot of people said, and I read a lot of this, Final Destination on steroids, and I thought, holy shit, can't wait to see what that's going to be. But I almost want to argue that Final Destination is already like mad
Final
enough.
Destination on steroids.
Yeah, Final
Yeah, like
Destination is
I'd
already
agree. Like,
yeah.
and I think that might be why maybe because I don't feel like I went into this with like high expectations or anything, but I think knowing what the concept of it was and the story, and then hearing Final Destination and thinking, oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense given what the synopsis is. But not that I was expecting it to be like Final Destination, but it doesn't even like play into death in the
No,
same kind of way, I don't feel.
no.
But I did see an interview with Osgood Perkins where he was speaking about the tone of the film. And although I didn't really like the tone of the film, I appreciate how he was describing why he went into it that way. And he was saying about how his parents died in very like
Yeah,
crazy
Yeah.
ways.
that's
So his
true, isn't
mum
it?
died
Yeah.
in 9/11, and I can't remember how
I
his dad
think
died,
his
but
dad died in the 80s, and I want to say, well, I'm not 100% sure, but his dad obviously is Anthony Perkins, isn't it?
Anthony Perkins,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he may have died from I was gonna say cancer, but now I feel like it might have been AIDS. But
I think it was. Yeah, it was something
We'll
like
use
that
the
when I
magic
was
of
because
the
I was
internet to
reading it
confirm.
last week.
yeah,
Um, so I think he was using this film as like a vessel to kind of
yeah,
process that kind of grief because he said I think he said at first he used to think why is this like happening to like me, like why is this, and then he realized like death in general is just a very
yeah,
peculiar random thing that can
yeah,
happen to people in random ways, and I appreciate that aspect of it and I can see that aspect of it within what he would try to do with the film, but I just still didn't think as a
yeah.
whole it.
I
I
like the
guess.
messaging that we get from the film have confirmed in the interim that his father did pass complications related to HIV and AIDS. But like I think the message that we hear loud and clear in the film that everybody dies and it's random and it's fucked up is kind of what they lean into with the story of the monkey, that it's cruel and it's not fair,
Hmm.
and sometimes it's completely out of the blue as well. So
Well, the inscription on the
hearing those
box as well.
stories.
Sorry, go on, Andy.
No, no, sorry, you say.
The inscription on the box, which is like life as well, which
Mhm.
is kind of trying to say that death, that like the way the monkey chooses people is essentially like life. The way that people die, like it is pretty pretty random. And I guess that's where the comparisons to Final Destination aren't correct, because Final Destination is like death has chosen somebody and is going after them essentially, where the monkey is taking people willy nilly, isn't it?
At random.
And also like the
It
way
doesn't take requests.
it doesn't it doesn't take requests, but also the way it kills people. Like with Final Destination, it'll be very complex, like seeing things come together and fall into place, and someone dies from some unbelievably ridiculous accident. Whereas in the Monkey, it's almost like someone will die like instantaneously from just something going wrong in that
Yeah,
instant.
a
Just
thing will
like,
happen. Like Final Destination, I'm not sure if it was the same for you. I got a trailer for new Final Destination before this movie,
oh yeah, yeah, oh
in the
yeah,
in
yeah,
a
you're right.
tattoo parlor.
Oh
um,
Jesus Christ, yeah, it's horrific. He's like hanging
yeah,
from his
so I get it. I think we have to challenge the journalistic shortcut of saying that something is like X on steroids, because then you have to challenge it medically. What? Struggling with its weight? Like maybe
oh
getting
Jesus.
long-term liver problems or heart problems from being on them for too long. What are you talking
Immediate
about?
gains, long term negative effects. Yeah, yeah, somewhat.
Mood instability.
Oh
Please elaborate.
Jesus. Uh, yeah. So I mean, as I said at the top of the show, I want to ask you this, Terrell, because I want to ask everybody who comes on the show what their horror Mount Rushmore is. The reason being, I think it gives our listeners a little bit of a better understanding in terms of what kind of horror fan you are and where you're coming from with that sort of stuff. I did network a little bit of a new name just before the
I was
show.
about to say, have you? I was about to set you up for that, Ben. Have you got a name for this segment?
But both of you made a face. I'm going to say it properly now. Mount Rush Horror is what I'm going to call it. But you can say Mount Rush Horror if you want to pronounce horror like that. We're still networking it. If people want to suggest better names for it, then fine. But Terrell, what four films, horror films, would you include on your horror Mount Rushmore? And I guess why?
Uh, so the first one would be The Shining. I think that's my all-time favorite horror film. I think the reason for that is I think there's just so much detail in that film in like every frame, and I feel like every time I watch it, I pick up on new things, and anytime I speak to someone different about it, there's a new perspective they provide, and like I can go back and watch it and see it
Mm.
through a different lens. I think Jack Nicholson's iconic in it.
Mm.
And I think Shelley Duvall, I remember the first time I saw the film, I thought her performance was really bad. And then
Oh,
like over watching it multiple times, I then realized, oh, actually, I think this is one of like the best performances there's ever been in a film. And I found that
wow. Okay.
fascinating, just how it kind of came across that way initially to me, and then
Mm.
it kind of changed over time. And I think that's what happened in real life as well, because you got the Razzie nomination for it,
Yeah.
and
Oh, of
then
course.
it's been like highly regarded since. But I just really love that story, and it's weird to say, but that's like one of my comfort films. Like if it's really cold outside, like I'd have no issue like opening a window so it's a little cool in my room, just snuggling up
Yeah, yeah. Oh
and
my
just
God.
watching The Shining on like a winter's night. Like
Make
that
you
would
feel a
feel
bit
like really
warmer in your house as well. Could be worse. Could be
yeah.
frozen in a maze.
Poor Shelley
Yeah.
Duvall. Like everything she went through with that film, and like just yeah, not great. But
Yeah,
still, it's weird that
so it's like
Stephen King doesn't like it though, right?
yeah, I think it's like I think it's for him, it's just the differences from the book, isn't it? Because I think the book's so personal to him about
Yeah.
alcoholism, and I think because Kubrick kind of went a different way with that aspect
Mm.
of it, I think he didn't like. But I don't know if he, I'm not sure if he said since that like he's warmed up to it now, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think maybe at the time he was kind of like, oh,
He
this is
likes
just isn't my
he likes
Did
the
Stephen
TV
King
more.
story.
direct the TV one himself? The one that
I
came
don't
out a
think
few
he.
years later?
That's a good question. I don't know if
I
he
never saw
directed
that
it,
one actually.
but I
I'm not
think he did
sure.
like it. Um, yeah. I don't know. It's less of an. There's no axe. It's like a mallet, isn't it? That he uses similar to well, the same as in the book, for old Jack Torrance. Uh, yeah. What else? What else you got out there?
Uh,
It's a
don't know.
difficult question, that
I
one.
know there's got to be an Italian horror film on there somewhere, and picking between that is really difficult. But I'm gonna go with a film called Blood and Black Lace, which is from Mario
Yeah.
Bava, which is from 1964, and that was one of the first like giallo films I saw. I remember I watched that for the first time in like 2018. I think
Mm.
around that time, I think all I had seen was Suspiria and a few other Dario Argento films. And then I think that was the one that really hammered home like the all of the signature aspects of a giallo film because it's like the character in like the black trench coat kind of thing with the black
Yeah.
gloves, and you've got the whole mystery thing going around. It's a bunch of people that you think it might be. I like how that film focuses on like the fashion house. So it's like an institution of women that are like working in the fashion industry thing, and they're the ones that are being kind of preyed upon. And then just visually, once again, that was one of those the first like giallo film I think I saw that really like presented the colors. Where I was like
Yeah.
wowed by like the cinematography and the use of color, and then realized that that was a staple of the genre as well. And that's one that like I always enjoy going back to, and I just love that. It's very compared to some giallo films, it's a very simple film, but I think that works in its favor. And I think that does work as like an introductory film into what the subgenre is like as
Yeah.
well.
Well, we've never covered that on the show, Terrell. So let's put a pin in that and remember it. So you should definitely join us at one point in the in the
Yeah, I'd love to
Yeah,
come
future
because
back for that one.
we
to
Yeah.
talk
haven't had
about that.
you for a giallo film yet, and given your love of the genre, I think we
There we
should
go. Yeah. Yeah. I
get
think
you in
we've
one.
only
Our
done
last one
Yeah.
was opera, wasn't it? Then
the last Yellow film we did was opera, yes. But we have done quite a lot now, so it'd be good to continue to cover the Jallo movies. And I think we only seem to cover new releases with you, Terrell. So it'd be good to get you back for that
Yeah.
one. And
No,
then
I'd love to come back for that one.
two more. Then any other choices?
Um, Off the top of the head, I'm gonna say Hereditary, mainly because that's the film where if someone asked me like what not even necessarily scared you the most, but what horror films like really affected you?
Yeah.
Hereditary just, I feel like the time of my life that I was in, like the phase of life that I was in when that came out, I feel like I was just susceptible for that film to like just take a hold of me. And when I
Yeah.
watched it, it was like a gut punch. But like I remember that first cinema experience. It was around the time basically I first started like experience having a panic attack. And I never really knew what a
Yeah.
panic attack
Yeah.
was until like it happened and I felt like I was dying when I first had it. And then like I think Hereditary came out like maybe 2 weeks after. And
Yeah.
I felt like I was on the edge of a panic attack the whole time watching that film. But like I was so it was such a weird feeling because like I wanted to leave because it was getting that bad. But I was also fascinated that film was making that happen. And I was like, that was like,
Yeah.
and then just the film as a whole, I just found it so compelling in how it is like a portrait of a family and the dysfunction in the family and how trauma and guilt can tear a family apart. And of course, there's that iconic like twist moment in Hereditary that like just catches everyone off guard if they're not aware of it, like
Oh
within the
yeah.
first 20
That
minutes.
that
And I think
cut
that's what,
that cut to
yeah,
that
that like
moment.
threw me off like when I was watching it, I think, because usually, like for people like us, we're so used to horror films. You're kind of in your comfort zone watching it, kind of knowing where it's gonna go
Yeah.
most of the time, or you can kind of guess. And that was the moment in Hereditary where I was like, I have no idea what this film is now. Like, because the whole marketing was around that character. So when
Yeah.
that happened, I was like, what is this film?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And then one more. We're covering. To be fair, you're covering the decades pretty well with your Mount Rushmore. So.
I'm gonna go with like a more traditional one. Oh, I've got two in my head now. Which one? Gonna say Nightmare on Elm Street. I was almost gonna say
Oh,
Texas
lovely.
Chainsaw Massacre, but I'll go with
Yes.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
I mean, both would have
Um,
been valid choices, wouldn't they? Yeah.
yeah, and I think for Elm Street, that was definitely one of the ones when I first started watching horror films when I was younger. That was one of the ones that stood out to me, like just Freddy, for all the reasons that everyone would know already, like for Freddy and like his kind of energy on screen and the humor and the creepiness. And then I think just for like how creative, and it's kind of like Final Destination in a way for me,
Mm,
with how like creative the deaths are, with like blending dreams and death,
mm.
and also the fact that everyone has to sleep. Like I think it's a really genius.
Yeah.
I think the films are so highly regarded that people forget how like genius the concept actually is. Like
Yeah.
because everyone has to sleep, so like there's no escape. You're
Oh
gonna have to
man,
confront him at some point.
how many sleepless nights have we had just like after watching Nightmare on Elm Street, thinking
Oh,
about that,
Freddy's gonna get me.
keeping your eyes open? Yeah.
Yeah, like I think when you're grown up and you're watching these films and you encounter them as a kid for the first time, that is something you can do because you can logic out. Leatherface ain't gonna get me in the UK. No way he's getting through the TSA. Like I ain't going to Texas. I can avoid him. Um, the same. I told the story before, Ben, about my friend after we watched The Blair Witch. Who was really scared. Said, "Oh, the woods," because obviously that was marketed so heavily as this is real program. This is.
Yeah.
Was able to say to him, even as a 16-year-old, "Don't worry, mate. Blair Witch, even if it was real, is in America. You're quite safe. Like
You're quite safe.
they're not traveling. Freddy, he'll get you anywhere.
He'll get
So
you anywhere.
worry about that if you
Well,
must."
that's good. That's a good time to mention. We've been trying to work out what we're going to do for next week's episode because it's a new month. We're going back to the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. We're going to Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. So we might as well announce that now. Why not?
Yeah,
Um,
why not? Is
but
it the
yeah,
franchise that we've done Aliens aside?
yeah,
Probably the franchise we've made the most progress in.
I
Four
think
four
so.
Freddy's in.
I think so. We don't usually do that many sequels, but we're trying to continue with this one. Okay, awesome. Got some horror news just to quickly go through before we start talking about The Monkey. We have got Clown in a Cornfield trailer, the book by Adam
Ooh.
Cesare, or Cesare, I guess Cesare, I would say. Slasher movie Clown in a Cornfield coming to theaters May the 9th, 2025. The trailer is out now with another clown killer to the world of horror cinema, and his name's Frendo. I mean, I bet he's not as nice as he sounds. Have either of you guys seen this trailer? Have you? Has anyone read the book?
I've
I've
not
not
seen
actually
the
read the book.
trailer yet.
No, I've not, but that's a funny name.
Yeah, I think there's. Do you know what? I think he's written three books. So there's Clown in the Cornfield 1, 2, and 3. So, I mean, if this film does well, it's ripe for the picking of being a movie. I think it might be a young adult slasher book. So it's not like super. I mean, I guess it still is gory or whatever, but I guess it's a more. Well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's
Maybe
out
like
in
a
the.
Fear Street type of thing, maybe
Yeah,
like
yeah. I
a
guess that's yeah. I
teen
guess
kind of.
teen thing, not quite Goosebumps, a little bit more advanced than that, but something like that. That I might be completely wrong. But the plot synopsis is Quinn and her father just moved to the quiet town of Kettle Springs for a fresh start. And then what happens? And there's a massive synopsis. I don't want to read it all. A sinister grinning figure emerges from the cornfields to cleanse the town of its burdens, one bloody victim at a time. Uh, yeah, and I mean it's quite an iconic looking clown. You know where you go, oh, clown killer. I've seen them all before, but this guy, Frendo, looks a bit unique.
It's
Uh,
relieving people of burdens. It's a
relieving
way to
people of
put it.
burdens. I think that actually means killing them, doesn't
Carrying your shopping in and it's dead heavy, and you've done it all in one go because you don't want to have to go back to the car.
Got five Sainsbury's bags on each hand. I'll help you out, mate. Come on.
Just comes and slashes the bottoms out, so you're like Kevin McAllister, all the groceries on the floor.
uh, but yeah, you know what? Why not? Looking forward to this.
You've conjured it already, though, Terrell. We've had a we have a Fear Street trailer today as well, don't we?
No, did
Yeah.
that come out today, the trailer?
So
Ah.
I think R.L.
Oh,
Stein did like an announcement thing for IGN, didn't he? Where he kind of said, "Here's the new." I haven't seen anything. What's it
I've
called?
seen the trailer.
Oh,
It's
you have.
Prom Queen. I haven't looked or read into anything, but obviously when we saw Fear Street, the settings were the 90s, the 70s, and now, right? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, 1666, the olden days, back in the
Yeah,
no,
90s.
yeah, yeah.
the Coven.
So this is an 80s
Yeah, that's it.
coded one. So I assume,
Yeah.
without reading anything, that it isn't a new story. It slots into that series and it'll be one of the other killers, but an 80s coded one. If I'm remembering back to Fear Street now, there is like an 80s killer that's amongst them, right?
Yeah.
Because horrible baseball bat boy, the sackhead from the 70s. They've
I
all
can't
got
remember
actual
the
names.
killers.
It's mad to think
I just
how
remember there
little
was
I can
that one
remember.
death scene
Yeah,
in
oh, with
that
the bread,
film.
the
There was
bread
one.
slicer.
Didn't she go through like a yeah
The
or
bread
something like that? And
slicer,
she's
Bread
yeah.
just
slicer.
yeah. That's all I remember.
Um.
Looks good though. I'll be back for that. I enjoyed
Oh
Fear
yeah.
Street, and these were proper like lockdown era films, right? We just got these three films that came out of nowhere, back to back to back, in the
We
midst of lockdown when we couldn't leave home,
yeah. I think
and they went a lot harder than I expected.
we did all three in one episode as well, which if I remember was probably a bad idea because you know what I mean. It was just like
We did it though,
we did do
and we've done.
we did it.
And to be fair, we've done longer episodes. I don't know how we managed.
Yeah, it was good going. And
I
another
remember
trailer.
90s one good, 70s one fun if a little bit loose in the middle, third one terrible accents.
Yeah, yeah, I think I remember. But yeah, I'll be ready for this one. We've got a new trailer for the movie from the Talk to Me brothers who directed. Uh, that's a terrible sentence. The Talk to Me brothers who directed Talk
Don't
to Me.
relate. Talk to me.
Danny and Michael Philippou. The new film's called Bring Her Back. It stars Sally Hawkins, and it's about a brother and sister uncover a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. Um, another one where I just thought I'm going to avoid this trailer, but I will mention it simply because, of course, really interested to see what these guys do next. And we've Talked to Me 2 on the slate as well. Looking forward to that. But did anybody watch this trailer for Bring Her Back?
Not seen
No,
it
I
yet.
didn't watch this one.
We're all doing the
I
right
tend
thing.
to try and dodge horror
Yeah, me
trailers as
too
much as
now.
I can.
I think
But
what
every
we
now and again I get curious and I just take a
yeah.
peek.
I think in cinemas is when I'm seeing most trailers at the moment, which obviously I've kind of got to watch them. But if I'm really not sure, I'll kind of just like look at my phone just very briefly while the trailer's playing,
Yeah,
just so I
I
know.
usually have my head down and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
headphones
yeah,
on. I'm like, I'm not gonna. But
yeah,
Final Destination was the one that I caved on because I was like, oh, I don't want to see that. But I'm kind of glad in a way because the
yeah.
Final Destination one didn't actually give a lot away. Like
No,
it didn't give away. I thought they were going to show like flashes of death scenes and all that stuff.
yeah,
So I'll probably skip the next trailer for Final Destination.
yeah. I think that's a good thing to do with it. Is like when there's like a teaser trailer or like an initial trailer, I think that's fine. But when we get closer and closer to the release date and we get more and more trailers, like yeah, that's the best time to avoid them because they're really trying to snare people with it, then, aren't they?
Yeah, I
Um,
feel like this
Yeah.
opening trailer that we've got in this because it is a fairly continuous scene, right? I don't know.
yeah.
This could be something that I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't feature in the full film. I feel like
Oh
this
yeah.
could be a set piece
It
that
could
they
be an
put
opening
together.
scene, possibly,
Yeah,
or
could be the
something.
cold open. Yeah.
Yeah. And the last thing I got to mention this because I saw it and I thought, oh my God. Asylum, our friends at the Asylum, Andy,
Yep.
are releasing a movie called The Jolly Monkey, which is basically an absolute rip-off of this film, but it's available on VOD from March the 1st. And I mean, how did they get away with this? What are the actual rules with this? Because even the poster looks the same. And also, I'm confused by this, right? Because I read that this film, The Monkey, the Osgood Perkins monkey, couldn't include a cymbal clapping monkey because Toy Story had the rights to that
Yeah.
character. Is that true?
Toy Story have somehow
Yeah.
managed. Pixar have trademarked the
Oh,
cymbal clashing monkey, which is why it has to be
that
a drum
film,
one.
that thing is in like Toy Story. Is it Toy Story 3? Like for just one bit, right? How have they done that?
I think it's Toy
But
Story
surely,
4, I think it
Toy
was.
Story
Yeah.
4. Okay, okay.
but surely the cymbal clapping monkey toy has just been in the world since
Yeah.
Yeah, for like the
Well,
since
yeah,
the
50s or
days of
something.
yore.
because we've covered monkey shines on this podcast, and that one has got like a monkey toy with the symbols, right?
In
Right?
the trailer, certainly, but it's a real life monkey in the film, right?
Yeah. And I mean, yeah. So this looks
Hyper intelligent monkey that's had brain injections
what
and
I'm
starts
what I'm
fires.
saying here is this poster looks like the monkey with symbols. So what are the Asylum doing that like A24 and Neon is it A24 the monkey? No, it's not. Is it?
Having less
Neon,
respect for
Neon, yeah.
Neon. Yeah,
copyright.
it's Neon. What are they
I heard
doing?
today as well that the reason why that monkey's in Toy Story is because it was influenced by that same story. So
Oh,
it's like literally the monkey from like, or
interesting.
supposed to reference the
If
monkey
I was
from
Stephen King, I'd just
Stephen
be
King's
like,
story.
Pixar, let me make a
That's
bloody.
Yeah,
mine.
It's my
this is
bloody
my
monkey.
story.
Yeah.
Dare you? But
I, in fact, sue you.
this is the continued like unofficial series that we've got on the Horror Hangout, which is monkey horror. Now we've covered quite a lot. You'd be surprised, and there's a lot out there. We've covered Monkey Shines, Link, obviously Congo, which you could say, well, Andy, horror
Is a horror
adjacent.
film. Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
horror film, Congo. What am I missing here?
Dunstan checks in. We've not done a full episode on that.
Shakma. We haven't covered that officially,
We've
but
talked about it, but we should do Shakma.
we should do Shakma. Yeah. What do you? I mean, monkeys are pretty terrifying. Is a horror character. I'm surprised we don't get more. I feel like we should get more. Do you have a favorite of the of those, Terrell? Do you have a favorite? Have you
Never
seen
seen
Monkey?
those ones, but I guess one that's just popped to my head is Nope. I guess that kind of counts. Well,
Oh
that's
my
an
God!
ape, I
Yeah, of
guess, but
course.
Oh
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah,
horrible ape.
yeah. Well, horrible ape. I mean, he shouldn't have been on a TV show, should he? It's very stressful for a chimpanzee to be.
Yeah, they shouldn't be using those things. The
No,
good folks at
and
NAPSA would not
yeah.
agree.
Ever since that story of that chimpanzee tearing off that woman's face, I've been I've been absolutely terrified of the moment where I become face to face with one. But I guess
I
Planet of
think
the
Link
Apes
was
kind of
fairly terrifying. That bit with
yeah.
those Dobermans are chasing that woman, and then Link at first saves them by punching the dogs away, but
Yeah.
then he's a wrong'un.
If if you get a chance though, Terrell, Monkey Shines is good, Link is good. I don't know. If
add
this
them to
this
my letterbox
this
watch
is kind
list.
of like
Oh,
I
add
guess
add
this one
them
is
to
kind of like
your.
unofficial monkey horror mainly because it's a toy, isn't it?
It's not. Yeah,
So
it's toy horror.
yeah. But
It's the
Shakma,
crossover one we needed.
Toy horror. That's like another whole subgenre of
yeah,
toy
yeah.
horror.
But Shakma is great because it's a baboon on the loose in like apartment block. Is that right? Like like a
Like a
college or
university building, right?
like a university building. Some
Uh-huh.
university students are doing like some sort of like they're staying in the university doing something, and there's an evil baboon on the loose. It's mad.
Yeah, it's horrible
It's
baboon.
mad, but it's good.
And Terrell, if you get to watch Monkey Shines, what I'll tell you is, even with me telling you this, you cannot possibly prepare for it. There is a jump scare in Monkey Shines that you will never see coming, and is possibly one of the most horrific things in ever recorded on film.
Horrifically good or horrifically bad or just
It
horrific?
can be it can be two things.
Good times.
I mean,
Good times.
I'll watch that one first.
Monkey
Um,
Shines is a real treat.
okay, and then one last thing because I know we got so much to discuss. What we've been watching this week? Anything you've
Oh,
seen in the last 7
before we
days or
hit that,
so?
Ben, we have a couple of important bits of other news. I feel
Oh
like we should have
Jesus,
gone.
I'm
I should
sorry.
have gone first with this. This
I'm
is
sorry.
maybe because there are some bits that may be sad news, but I think timely. I've seen. Some of you may have seen. We've talked about a lot of his work before. Famous, iconic horror actor Reggie Bannister. We know has suffered some failing health, and he is going into sort of respite hospice care. But he and his wife have made a statement that they still want to hear from his horror fans, some of the things that they remember about working with him. So
Hmm.
if you've heard us discuss Reggie Bannister's work, particularly in our Phantasm episodes, I think those are the horror films that we'd perhaps know him best for. We've had Jake and Aaron come and join us talk about these films. I believe if you will either put it in the show notes or have a Google, there are some methods by which he and his wife have asked for people, if they want to send any messages, to please send them by there. If you enjoy his films, I know we're still overdue to do Phantasm 3 with those
Yeah.
guys. Now is probably the time I think they would like to hear some messages from him. So if you're a fan, they have opened up those ones,
Hmm.
that as well. So yeah, check out that one.
I'll find
Show the
I'll
guy some love for all the
find a
good
link for
memories he's
that
given us.
and put it in the show notes, of course. Uh, Yeah, I mean, so what we've been watching, anything you've seen in the last 7 days or so, horror adjacent, Terrell, that you wanted to
Not
recommend?
really much this week. I'll do for the month because
Okay.
I've had quite a quiet month. But I
Yes,
watched
yes.
Dog Soldiers again randomly at the start of the month because I hadn't
Nice.
seen it for a few years, and I was like, I think it was whatever streaming service was on there, like the 4K version. So I was like, oh, let me
Ooh.
check that out, and it was quite an impressive transfer on the 4K version. Like it's one of those ones that makes the film look like so different almost in a way because it's just so clear and like the
Yeah.
colors change so much. But I do enjoy that film a lot.
Okay.
And then I watched Sleepy Hollow for the first time, which I can't believe I've never actually
Oh,
seen before.
yes.
And I
It's good,
really
isn't it?
enjoyed that a lot.
Oh, you've never
Like
seen it
I didn't
before?
realize no, and I didn't realize like how horror like I thought just because it was Tim Burton, I assumed it was gonna be like a really kind of kid friendly like horror film. But I
Yeah.
didn't realize how much beheading and all of that. Obviously, that's part of the story, but how much of
Yeah.
that was going to be in there and the blood. And I really enjoyed like how that film looks as well and like the style of it. And
Yeah. It's like the classic Tim Burton like cool blue sort of like tint it's got going on it. And Christopher Walken in that terrifying with his
yeah,
sharp teeth.
Poor Johnny Depp with his little pock marks on his hand after he got scared into sitting down on that sharp chair that once.
Oh mate, it's a great film.
Who
I love that
designs a chair like that? It's pointless.
film. Yeah. But yeah, you enjoyed that for a first time watch?
yeah,
You're a fan?
enjoyed that a lot. I'd even say it's probably like top three Tim Burton film for me.
Oh my
That one
God. Look at
Yeah.
really
that.
really liked it.
Jumping straight in there. Yeah, I think it's probably up there for me in terms of Tim Burton. We've done that on the show as well, but I couldn't tell you when. Was that ages ago, Andy?
Or
Was it recent?
COVID 2020,
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah. Anything else at all?
And then it would have been Heart Eyes, which I think was
Oh,
last week. I
oh,
did see that
yeah.
twice, so I did
Oh,
see
you
that
saw it
again.
twice.
Yeah,
Is it,
enjoyed it that
was
much.
that did you go and see it on Valentine's Day? Was it a
Yeah, so I
romantic?
saw it after. Yeah, I saw it on the Saturday. So the day after Valentine's Day, I saw it. Um, yeah, and it was. Yeah, I think it's such a good film for like its purpose, like for that purpose. Like I think it just really hits the mark with the
Yeah.
rom-com and the that, and then the horror. I think it's a nice
When
balance.
you said about the two leads as well, like we said the same thing. They've almost got too much charisma. It's almost like, come on,
Yeah,
guys, leave some for the rest of us. What's going
A bit
on?
of
I
chemistry.
feel like
You
it's
guys are
almost
really in
carried
love.
by them completely.
Yeah,
Like, I think if there was different actors in it, it could have like my enjoyment of the film could be completely different if it was
yeah,
two different actors that may have not had the chemistry they did.
absolutely. Andy, anything you wanted to mention?
Well, horror films have been lean this last week. Last weekend was my wife's birthday, so I was doing other not sitting and watching film things. We did watch Paddington 2, which the perfect antidote if you've watched something a little bit spooky. He'll warm your heart, won't he? He's a nice little
He
bear.
loves those marmalade sandwiches.
He does, and everyone he meets is touched by that. But it was very good. I say that completely uncynically. The one thing I did watch, of course, Ben, because a week would not pass me by where I didn't watch my prescribed single episode of Friday the 13th, the TV series. Before I talk about episode 5, though, you've caught up with me a little bit. Have you totally caught up, or have you
No,
just started?
I had every intention to. I had every intention to, but I've only seen two. So out of the two you mentioned, the one with the creepy doll and the pen. So I don't know, Terrell, if you're aware of the sort of what the series is about, but it's nothing to do with Jason at all. It's almost
Oh,
like I guess
interesting.
it's kind of like an anthology Monster of the Week thing, but with the same two lead characters.
So it's almost like a Halloween 3, but of a TV
Exactly,
show for
yeah,
Friday the
Yeah,
13th.
exactly. That's a great way of describing it. And they inherit a antique shop. That's right, isn't it, Andy?
from their uncle. Yeah,
From
he
their
died.
uncle, and they sell off everything. But then they realize, oh no, we sold off all of these cursed items, and we have to go and get them back before things kick off. Um, yeah. So you're on episode
Sounds like a monkey
5.
might have been involved.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure
exactly.
there will be a
Yeah, there's
monkey
gonna be.
episode is almost inevitable. But and you mentioned Friday the 13th, not mentioned yet, Ben. It could be coming up. It could be on the way. We'll find out soon.
Oh,
But this week's episode, episode 5, was Halloween. Like Halloween as we would say it, but there's an apostrophe in the middle, so Halloween.
yes.
And in it, the guys are having a lovely Halloween party, and everyone from the neighborhood's coming around. Honestly, it's like Angel Grove Juice Bar in there. Everyone's having a lovely time. They're looking about, and all of a sudden, there is a power cut. And turns out their uncle, who died in the beginning, he's back in ghost form.
Oh,
And you'll never guess what. He's after an amulet. And they give him an amulet because, of course, he's their uncle. But it turns out he's a bad un. And him and a
Ah,
little demon, played by a little girl, are desperate to reanimate his body and give him a body again that will bring about all kinds of badness. But they have to do it before the sun rises. And our heroes have to stop him before a terrible fate can befall everyone. And I tell you what, as always, it is an absolute ride. A demon, which is ostensibly just a little girl, that has some funny marks on her face. Um, our hero Jack, the old man of the
yeah.
piece, again, some absolute pearlers from something you could only get away with in the 80s when he's dressed as a Merlin and producing plums from scantily clad Halloween party guests like cleavage while he's being a Merlin, so it's okay, it's charming, it's not Probo. Um, and then the guy's just having an adventure where you've got to keep a ghost talking until the sun comes up and he's defeated. What a time. Another
That's
great
like
episode. But the
that's like
reason I say is
that's the
that,
plot from Nosferatu, isn't it?
yeah,
Keep him
exactly.
talking till sun rises. Come on.
Keep him getting on till sunrise and you'll be fine. So as I've said, Ben, I'm looking forward to watching my next episode because they're at the end, all's well that ends well. They're dusting their brows off and they're saying, "Oh my goodness, at least you haven't got to worry about another load of Halloween hijinks for another year." Then Jack leans forward to Mickey and Ryan and says, "Don't know about that, lads. It's Friday the 13th in 2 weeks. Now,
God.
does
Crossover.
that mean our next episode, or maybe in 2 episodes' time, it's going to be about Friday the 13th? We'll find out.
Oh my God. Oh my
Well,
God. I am enjoying
join
it
me
so
next
far.
week when I discuss episode 6.
I'll try and catch up with you in time for episode 6. Terrell, there's 72 episodes across series.
72.
Yes,
Yeah,
I thought
exactly.
this would be like a one, two, or one's like one series, 10 maybe. Oh, 10 would have been like a lot for something like, are they like an
Exactly.
hour long or 20 minutes or,
they're about
45
40
minutes.
minutes.
That's a lot,
God, when
isn't it?
did this, how has this like become so like hidden? Like, how did
I
this
know.
be a thing and like no one ever talks about it?
Yeah.
I've
And I've gone out
actually
there, Terrell. Better than the X Files. Certainly, I enjoy it more than the X Files. What a time!
you can get like a DVD with it with the whole thing on there. So I'm kind
I might
of
have to get a hard copy because
yeah,
I'm not sure I can rely on all the episodes being on YouTube. I might have to get
yeah.
birthdays coming up. Might have to get that.
Okay. I'll very quickly just mention what I've been watching as well. So I watched the Tommy Knockers, the Stephen King adaptation miniseries. There's only 2 episodes from 1993, I think. Don't know if you guys have ever seen this. This is always one of those things that when I was growing up, people used to always be going on about Tommy Knockers. Oh, Tommy Knockers are gonna get you. What? I don't even know. This is proper weird. This is like those weird Stephen King adaptations. I mean, The Stand was weird enough. Tommy Knockers is extra weird. I don't want to kind of spoil anything, but it's kind of like there's like an alien vessel
The
underground.
cover of the film spoils it,
The
Ben.
cover of the film spoils it. There's an alien vessel underground. People start digging it up, and then they become like almost like p- they always become. What word am I thinking of, Andy? Andy Thesaurus Turner.
Addicted, withered.
Well, yeah, well,
Well, they
possessed,
do because
possessed by
first,
some sort of like alien
yeah,
force.
at first they find it dead nice, don't they? They're like,
Yeah,
hang on, I'm sexier. I've got more energy. I can
yeah.
have an affair with a woman that works at a post office. But then your teeth start falling out. I guess
Yeah.
it's a bit like doing meth.
It's just like that. It's just like that. But talking of the woman at the post office, played by Tracy Lords, of Crybaby and Blade and Pornography, she is in it as a kind of, I guess she's like probably like a villain of the piece. She's got this weird like lipstick that's like a laser that like just obliterates people. I Instagrammed, watch this, if only for Tracy Lord's lipstick, and she liked the post and commented on it, a lipstick emoji. So I feel like I'm absolutely over the
You're a
moon.
star, Ben.
I'm a bloody star. I'm happy with the way that's gone, to be fair. I'm happy with it.
You are
Um,
you are 1 degree of separation from you and Tracy Lords, your mate.
yeah, my mate Tracy Lords. All right, okay, let's get her on the show. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention was I've been playing Doom 3. Now, off the back of playing like Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 and everything, like which is like the most high octane, intense first person shooter ever, going back to Doom 3 reminded me it's a proper horror game. Like it is genuinely scary, and it's like a cross between Half-Life and Dead Space, I would say, which is like a really nice combination. Um, but yeah, I've been like the really dark, narrow corridors, like the
I
monster
remember really liking
designs.
Doom 3.
Yeah, yep. Well, I have played it before, but obviously it's been a long time. I haven't played it since PlayStation 3 era. So I'm glad I've gone back to it because it's like a completely different challenge. Because I was trying to like crank up Doom Eternal to the highest possible difficulty to the point where it was like I was doing it in my sleep.
Yeah, like, this isn't fun anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And then I was like, it's not fun anymore. So now I'm playing Doom 3, and it's like it's a completely different challenge. But honestly, if I feel like if you got the chance to go back to it because it's on like PlayStation Plus and things like that, then definitely do it if you're in the mood for. Because it still looks great as well. Obviously, it's had a little bit of a shine up for PlayStation 4, but yeah, it's good. It's good.
It started
Recommend
Doom
it.
That's quite
64
interesting to
not
hear
long
because
ago.
Sorry,
I've
go on,
been
mate.
thinking of jumping into Doom because last year I bought the original ones, like the original ones on like the PS5, and played through like part way through the first one. And just yesterday I like, went back on it to try and finish it because I want to set
Oh wow,
myself the
okay.
challenge of doing them all before
Yeah.
the Dark Ages comes out. But I always remember I think Doom 3 was the one that I remember when it like came out, but I don't think I ever played it.
Yeah,
So it's interesting to hear that it's like more horror focused.
yeah.
Yeah, Doom 3 is directly probably the darkest, most horrific one. Doom
I'm
2 probably has the best map design of almost any first-person shooter ever. Um, but Doom 3, I only played it the once when it came out. My prevailing memory of it is that I worked at Game when it came out, and a lady came in to ask if we could not have the poster in the window because it was a horrible demon that scared her kid. And to his credit,
no gonna get
to our
you.
credit, old Jason Brown, he was like, "That's a very good point. I'll take that poster down because people who like scary horror Doom games, they're gonna come in and buy it anyway." And now I'm
Yeah.
not upsetting this woman's kid, and she wrote a nice letter in. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's but
she
yeah,
thought
it is.
we handled it very well. But
It
yeah,
is
it's a
scary.
scary, properly horror game, and I remember the big criticism coming out of it at the time was, "Oh, you can't use your torch and your gun at the same time. Surely you could get some sellotape." Yeah, it wouldn't be as scary then, though, would it, mate? Get the
No,
idea.
your torch
Because
just
the idea is
runs.
you're forced to go through in the dark, right? Because you
Yeah,
can't have your torch that's got a gun attached to it. You've got to have your torch out,
yeah.
and then if you see something, you've got to flip back to your gun.
For a PlayStation 5, sorry, PlayStation 3 game now, and again, I know it's had a little bit of an upgrade, but like the shadows are amazing, and like the mirror. You know, sometimes in a game when you see a mirror, you're gonna have a look at it and go, right, is this good? Is it following my movements exactly? This is like spot on for like, and again, a PlayStation 3 game. Like some games on PlayStation 5 don't do that.
Do you
So
hop on the arcades in there and play a bit of Turkey Puncher, Ben? Have you
I've
done a
done
bit of
that.
that?
Yeah, I've done that. But yeah, I find myself just like creeping around corners, just like preserving ammo, and it's way better than I remember it being. So
Probably the deepest attempt at a story as well. I know the
yeah,
newer Doom games overtly throw the story out of the window, right? Because the character doesn't care about it. But this one's got quite a lot to it.
yeah. But yeah, the Dark Ages does look amazing, right?
Yeah,
you've got like a
can't
big
wait.
shield as well. So
Did you guys see the film? I remember seeing that when I was quite young, the Doom
hmm
film with The Rock.
yes,
And I
yes.
remember liking it at the time. I'm kind of curious to watch it again to see what it's like, but I know
I
it's
tell you,
not Doom,
do you
Doom
know what's
by
do
name.
you know what's weird? I felt very. Playing Doom 3 made me feel like I was in the game. It felt like that, like those narrow, dark corridors. Like it's, but we've done Doom on the show as well. We did Doom probably a few years ago now, but yeah, I think it's pretty. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, but it's pretty good. Remember the first person moment, the first person scene.
Yeah, I think
Best part.
that's the main part of that, isn't it?
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
it worked that moment. Like it's like,
yeah.
oh, it is the game. It's probably a better, well, that scene alone, I guess, is a better adaptation of the game than Resident Evil is of the Resident Evil games.
You know what?
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
disagree with you there. I
And
wouldn't.
like, and you know what? For a video game movie, absolutely star-studded cast. Not only The Rock, Carl Urban, Dexter Fletcher, obviously. Um,
Yeah. What's her name as
oh, who
well?
is Gone Girl?
Rosa,
Yeah,
Rosamund
Rosamund
Pike.
Pike.
Yeah.
Yeah, like absolutely packed to the
Shocker.
rafters. That one.
Shocker. Yeah, that was it. So, well, yeah, that was it. That was all I wanted to mention, apart from film of the week, which we are getting around to, of course, which is The Monkey, a 2025 American comedy horror film written and directed by Osgood Perkins, based on Stephen King's 1980 short story. The film stars Theo James, Tatiana Maslany, Elijah Wood, Adam Scott, and in terms of the plot, when twin brothers Bill and Hal find their father's old monkey toy in the attic, a series of gruesome deaths start. The siblings decide to throw the toy away and move on with their lives, growing apart over the years. I'm going to add a bit there. Until. Just dot,
Until
dot,
that's it.
dot. What have we got in terms of ratings? 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb, 79% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, 60% critic score. Letterbox 3.0 out of 5. And there's choice reviews from Letterbox. Ryan's review says, absurdist comedy at its finest. Really enjoyed this one. Quite a far departure in tone and quality from Longlegs, but The Monkey is still a hell of a good time. 4 stars. Jake Smith simply says, dumb but fun. 3.5 stars. Anthony says, this achieved a real combination of absurdity and dread, but I think it leaned too much into the silliness. 3 stars. And then Tim Height says, not as good as I thought it would be. 3 stars. He's a bloody joke, really.
Unfortunately, Osgood Perkins has walked into that now with, although I suppose it works positively as well.
Yeah.
As good as I expected.
Yeah. And to be fair, right, if your name's Osgood, you gotta be making something of yourself. You gotta be in the public eye in some way. You gotta be a film director or a film star or something, because otherwise you're done for. You're
Yeah.
done for. Sorry, anyone called Osgood who might be listening. Uh, yeah, so obviously we spoke about this from the top, and I guess first thing we should say is that Terrell, you were a little bit disappointed. It probably didn't live up to the expectations that you had for it. I guess you were looking forward to it still.
Yeah, like I think I almost just like was almost I almost assumed that I was gonna like it, I guess. Like knowing what the synopsis was, hearing like the positive reaction, and then liking Long Legs, it was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like it, you know. And I didn't really. I saw the first like because I remember they started playing trailers for this really early because I
Yeah,
think it was like around the time Long Legs came out, there was like a teaser that dropped for it, and I saw that trailer, and I'd like heard parts of the other trailers because whenever it came on in the cinema, I'd put my head down. So I didn't actually know like a huge amount about it going in. But I kind of gathered from the trailers that there was going to be a humor element to it mixed with the horror. But certain aspects with the story and the main character and the whole twin thing, I didn't even know there was a twin situation going on until I sat down to watch the
yeah,
film. So
yeah,
that caught me by surprise. But yeah, when I watched it, I was kind of just. I think I was really excited when I was like sat down ready to watch it, thinking, "Oh, this is going to just be a lot of fun. Like it's going to be one of those films." And I think very quickly, within like the first 20 minutes, I guess it was just going in a direction that I didn't see coming, which was like the whole younger story.
yeah,
And I was thinking like, when's it going to get to like the parts that were in the trailer with that, like the
yeah,
adult actor? And then the tone and it just kind of felt a bit off for me, and it took a while to get going, and I was like, oh, and then straight away within those 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, this isn't going to be what I
mm,
like. I'm not going to like it as much as I wanted to. Let's
yeah.
see what the rest of this is.
I I feel I agree with the thing about the twins because I think I read a very short review which said Theo James is great in his dual role, and I was like, what? To, what? I thought he was just like the lead actor. That was it. And with the stuff with the kids, I thought like this was going to be like an opening scene, but it kind of almost takes up the whole of the first act, doesn't it? Where I thought
Comes
maybe it
back
was
a
going to
fair few
be
times, doesn't it? And it's Sweet Tooth, isn't it? The little boy.
okay, okay. So I guess he's just playing both parts on that one. Is I'm
Yeah,
assuming
the kid is also one actor
one
playing
actor.
both
Yeah,
parts of them, which I think is very impressive.
yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't even notice when I was watching the film until I saw someone mention it after. I was like, was it? I was like, I thought that was two different kids. Like,
Yeah. It's weird because
See,
that always
it's
happens.
not that unrealistic that Superman gets away with it after all, is it? You put a pair of glasses on someone.
It's confusing, isn't it? Because I get confused by that. And you know, when you see like a film where it's just one kid and they go, that was played by twins, and they get swapping them out like Big Daddy or something. I'm like, ah, what? Since when? I get so confused by that. Um, but yeah, I feel like I agree. Like tonally, I don't know. I was expecting something a bit different. I still enjoyed it, but I don't know if it went in the direction I was kind of expecting it to. Um, there's some, to be fair, there's some good, real good performances in it. And just it has got that like absurdist nature to it, where by the end it almost feels like a, I don't know, almost like a completely different film to what you start with. It kind of really goes through like a transition. Um, but yeah, I mean, obviously the kills and the gore and stuff like is quite shocking and over the top and ridiculous. But I don't know if it was quite as inventive as it could have been. And I guess it's kind of like a weird. Maybe they could have made more of like this kind of big event that kind of happens towards the end as well. I don't know. I feel like they could have lent more into that. Who knows? Obviously, we'll get into the details of that. You gonna say something then, Andy? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to our discussion on this one
I was like, I thought
because
you had your hand up, but it's the monkey's arm.
it's the monkey's hand, not me. Yeah, the watching this film and hearing you guys, your guys' initial takes of it and how it met or didn't meet or subverted your expectations really leads me for some self-reflection and thinking about how I am as a horror fan and you know what we can come to terms with and what we can be very open and honest about is I like stupid shit. I love stupid, ridiculous things that no one is going to explain to me, and I don't want them to. I think we talked about how it's very surprising that this is the same creator that brought us Long Legs. And I'm reflecting on the fact that I found Long Legs a good movie, well filmed, interesting, but for what it ultimately was, it didn't have the police procedural elements like we saw in Seven that really follows things to the letter. It was a little bit looser and ambiguous, but it still took itself incredibly seriously, despite the fact, it had Nicolas Cage looking like the lady that hangs out the front of the makeup counter outside in a boots, saying "Hey, say Hail Satan" and bashing his face in and into a table, and it was still took itself very, very seriously and tried to give an explanation to those things. Whereas I kind of loved how this was ridiculous and throwaway, and I particularly loved how the kills are over the top and they're incredibly absolutely blood soaked. But at the same time, stylistically, I really loved how everything was incredibly quick. There were very few times where things are particularly, there's a couple of bits where things are drawn out and it takes a while, but so many of the things just kind of happen. And then people have got how many times in this film is someone just turned into a red mist? Like it is I kind of liked how over the top and flippant it was, with all of the carnage and stuff. And I don't know, maybe we'll hear from you two if it was that you wanted there to be rules of the to the monkey or how it worked or how they could have defeated the curse. I kind of liked that it didn't have any, and it was you can't do anything about this. This is, and again, we'll draw into the things with Smile. Some of my big problems with Smile is it presents itself as there are rules to this, unless I decide that there aren't. In this, it fully embraces the chaos of there aren't rules. This is just going to happen. Maybe you'll win, maybe you'll lose. You can't pick. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this.
Terrifying looking monkey though, right? Because it's the way it's
Bigger
like
than you'd think. He's a big
he's
monkey.
big. I was a bit shocked by that as well because you kind of like one of those little organ grinder monkey things. You expect him to be, I don't know, a certain size, but he's a bloody massive unit.
Like Boglin sized, but he wasn't. He's like a Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah, exactly. Um, okay, so in terms of the cast, we've got Theo James playing Hal and Bill, older version. Tatiana Maslany is Lois Shelburne, is the mum for when the little fellows are kid when it's the kids. Colin O'Brien is P.T. Shelburne, little kid, little P.T. Um, yeah, random couple of cameos. Adam Scott, Elijah Wood, Osgood Perkins in a cameo
It's
as well.
Uncle Chip, isn't he?
Uncle
The
Chip.
director.
I did enjoy the smash. There are a lot of smash cuts to like this person's dead.
Yeah,
There's loads of that, which
just a
was
picture at a funeral.
just a picture at a funeral, which was pretty good. Yeah. Um, Okay, so we start. It's 1999. P.T. Shelburne is what is he like a naval officer, dude? Is that what he is? Adam Scott.
It's a
Um,
pilot, I think.
oh, a pilot. Okay, sorry. He attempts to return a playing toy monkey at an antique shop. He's covered in blood at this point. I feel like there's a whole prequel film that's just happened, and we're just at the tail end of it. And he tries to give it back. And what does the shop owner say? No refunds on
It's got
toys.
us like no refunds on toys, and everyone pulls into this because don't call it a toy. Never
Don't,
call it
don't
that.
you dare call it a toy. Never call it a toy. Um, and yeah, I guess what the monkey does is, does the monkey do this unprompted at this point? Because it seems like it needs to be wound up every single time. But
I
this
think the hand
time,
is still up though, right? So
oh,
I think
so
it's safe when the hands are down and it's done the drum beats. But if it's up, it's waiting for the moment that
waiting for the
the
moment to
final
kill
kill is
someone.
going to happen.
So there are some rules that we need to establish. It seems like whoever turns the key isn't the person who dies.
Yeah.
And I guess then it just at random kill someone. It doesn't have to be a person who's nearby or close to them, although it often is.
It doesn't have to be right away. It can be whenever.
Jesus Christ. Would you would you turn the key even once? Would you turn the key?
Have
No.
to be in a place filled with lots of people. Just so I
Yeah.
know it's not going to be anyone I know or anyone nearby.
Yeah. I feel like someone makes a good point, which is like they want to turn the key at one point just to make sure that they're sure that this is what the monkey's doing. That it isn't just coincidence that people are dying. They're like, should we just do it once, and then if someone does die immediately, we'll know it's that.
You could just say, well, let's just not, and then we've eliminated that part. There wouldn't be a film, so they
When
have
you're
to do it.
when you're a
But
kid, when you're a kid though, and it like the temptation
yeah,
of that, or especially like yeah, moments when you're like angry at someone, you're and your kid, right? That's it. I'm gonna turn the bloody.
I'm gonna kill you with this monkey. Yeah. So I loved that. I think this is where I knew what I was going to be in for, and I was going to enjoy it. This bit in the pawn shop where the pawn shop goes, "Look, I'm not taking this back." He goes, "Look, just you don't want to be. This doesn't even work. The hand isn't going down. Is that you don't want to be here when that hand comes down?" And then it plays this wonderful music. The whole I do like to be beside the seaside, and then it just happens that a series of little events happen up, and the guy gets harpooned, and I just love the beats of these things. They're like punchlines. It runs so well like comedy. Like the guy is just standing there, and all of a sudden a harpoon fires from a suit of armor right into his stomach, and in many ways that could just be the end. But then we pause for just a few seconds, and then it retracts and pulls the guy's like intestines out like a string, and he just silently falls down.
He collapses like
Um,
so fast as well. Bang. Yeah, I know
yeah,
what you mean. It is like a punchline, isn't it?
yeah, and and Adam Scott in this for just a few minutes of this film as a it's not much more than a cameo, right? But he makes the very
Yeah.
most of it. I think his iconic final scene when he finds out that the pawn shop is selling flamethrowers for £300 and he just grabs it and you just see him burning the monkey, like laughing maniacally.
I feel like I've realized that a flamethrower, God, easy for you to say, a flamethrower scene in any film adds at least like a adds so much to it. Like I'm talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like
Yeah.
that scene. But this, yeah, we see a moment of him just like burning the monkey to, and it like yeah, this is effective as well. It's seeing the monkey like burn and like all the
All the skin
exterior.
come off.
Yeah,
Yeah. If the
yeah.
two of you were in a film, you're going to be in an action film and you got to choose a scene where you're either going to operate a flamethrower or a minigun, what would you
Oh,
choose?
Jesus. Rambo or
Flamethrower, I think.
straight up flamethrower. Yeah, flamethrower. If I was in like a sequel to The Thing, I'd like to do
Yeah.
that.
That's what
You
came to my
gotta
mind was the
be.
thing, and I
You
was just like,
thinking
yeah,
that
that's
as
kind of
well?
cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
If I was allowed a third choice, maybe one of those Terminator 2 grenade launchers that does the
Oh
funk
yeah.
sound.
I do what I do when I'm playing games is I'd accidentally fire it when I'm like facing the wall and just kill myself.
Yeah. Can I rocket jump in real life?
Yeah. Oh god. Uh, so shortly afterwards, PT like disappears, leaves his wife Lois to raise their identical twin sons Hal and Bill. And the interesting relationship that these guys have got. There's like a they tell a story where it's like Bill. Wait, which one's Bill? The mean one.
Bill's the
Bill's the
bad
mean one.
one. Bad Bill. He's a
That
bad
Bill
boy.
like ate all of his mum's placenta and basically got all all of the strength. There's only so much strength to go around when you're twins.
Yeah.
He got all the strength, and like even though him and Hal are like identical twins, Bill's like the nails one, and Hal's like a
He's a
and the
he's a
the
horrible bully and he
then
doesn't
the
wear glasses.
one's got glasses and one hasn't. That's how you tell them apart. And yeah, Bill's the one who does that thing where if he goes to shake your hand, he goes, "Oh, too slow,"
Yeah.
which
And he's got John Connor hair.
he's got John Connor hair going on as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they kind of hate each other. So, but they discover they're like going through their dad's stuff, and again, like you see this a lot in kind of like fiction as well, when there's like a dad who's maybe an absent father, or almost like they treat him like almost like a mythological figure, where like they're keeping all dad's stuff just like in the cupboard, like
Yeah.
almost like is he gonna return one day? And
Rancid
like
Bill goes and finds like when he finds like there's some playing cards with sexy women on them, and he goes, I assume to Maz off because he goes, "Don't come in our room."
oh
Horrible Bill.
Jesus, oh no. Yeah, I mean that's a running theme because I think Lois does say at one point, "I'm not going in your room last time since I found that horrible sock."
Oh, that was I don't go in your dad's room anymore since I found that stiff sock. So,
Yeah. Oh Jesus.
Bill.
Um. So yeah, they find this monkey toy in a big old box. It's almost like a wedding hat box, isn't it? It's like this
Oh,
big
it's a
round.
lovely presented box, like
Yeah.
unboxing a new console, isn't it? That is
So
a good unboxing experience. Those smooth
yeah,
lines and that lovely foam it's in.
the like sort of embossed text as well. So are we to believe at this point that we saw the monkey being destroyed? Does it, when it's destroyed or anything like that, it has the ability to just return to or travel wherever it wants, essentially? Is that what we're thinking? Or is it just
I think it
will it
can
I was a little
regenerate.
confused, and I think that's why it threw me off from the start of the film because I didn't know what happened in like what that first scene was, whether that was like, oh, we're gonna get back to that later,
Yeah.
or
Oh, I see what you mean.
is
Yeah.
that before? Like,
Yeah.
I think that like just threw me for a loop. So my like the cogs
Mm.
in my head were turning off that straight away, and then because we then what I thought jumped back in time to these
Yeah.
kids, I'm like, so who is the guy in the shop?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I still don't really know how that connects or who that is or when that was.
I assume it's their dad, and I think it's worth mentioning here that point of reference, this is kind of like one of those films like It Follows, where despite the fact it tells you when they are children that it is 1999, the timescape of this film is completely ambiguous. It could be anywhere between now to the 1970s, maybe based on the decor. Like they
Yeah,
have
it
a
seems a bit
hamburger phone in
80s
their
like at
bedroom.
times,
They
doesn't it?
have
Like
yeah,
Yeah.
like it, and it's like It Follows where they have the weird, not current existing technology phones. They have like those weird shell Kindles, and but yet the cars are all 70s and 80s bangers. Like it very deliberately, I would say, aesthetically chooses not to ground itself
Yeah.
in any particular
Aesthetically
time
ambiguous,
zone.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And I really liked that about it. So yeah, the my read of it, and maybe I'm incorrect, maybe the wiki will have something different. I assumed that that was their dad. We never found out what happens to him after he burned up that monkey. Maybe like Hal, he just chooses to distance himself from his family so they don't, but he might be fine somewhere. Maybe we get an Adam Scott prequel at some point.
Yeah.
But he's
Definitely.
just not there, and the monkey, because it is magic, it is like when Tails falls into a spike pit, it will just come floating back down like it's nothing. So it's regenerated in their house because that is
Yeah.
where the monkey has chosen to appear.
Yeah. And it likes to come along for the ride as well, it seems like. I feel like every time it appears in like a car or something like that, I almost feel like does it just put itself there or someone put it there? Because they when they do wind the key, it lifts its arm up, but it doesn't come down and play its little drum tune.
It like
Um,
twizzles its little drumstick right in
yeah. Do you think it would
the
have been
thing.
better as the cymbals, or do you feel like it works well enough as the drums? Happy with that?
I think the drum works better actually because I think it
Yeah.
allows like the pace of the moment to kind of play out with the beats, whereas
Got you.
a cymbal you kind of don't. It's the same sound over and over again, but it's like the
Yeah, yeah,
rhythm of it is not the same, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
like the
almost
drum.
it's almost like it's probably like a bit garish rather than the drums is like building that tension, I guess, in a nice sort of way. So yeah, they
And if you're
go.
Osgood Perkins now, you'd say, if you, Pixar, you put a single monkey playing a drum in your film, I'm going to sue you because you're not.
Or I'd be like, you better use that monkey, the symbol monkey. You better use it all the time now because I'm sick of it. Um,
Yeah, if you don't use that the most from now on, if it doesn't go basically Mickey, Donald, symbol monkey, then you're in trouble.
um, so they go out for dinner with babysitter Annie. So at this point, Lois is going off like dating some men. She's single woman about town, going on some dates, and the boys go out for dinner with. They go to like a Asian cuisine restaurant. Now,
Go to a
I
hibachi place, right?
sometimes I go through like a little bit of a TikTok wormhole where I'm just looking at people sharpening knives. I've been doing that a lot, and I'm like, oh yeah, look at that knife. And they slice it through paper, and it's just like, oh, that is the sharpest knife ever. This must be the sharpest knife ever conceived in the world. Because also, what can anyone explain to me exactly what happens? Because
So
I'm
they're at a
confused.
not a hibachi. They go to a teppanyaki restaurant, right, where they
Okay,
have the hot plate and they do all the. You ever been to one of those? Ever such fun.
I never have, you know.
Oh my good. Tell you what, lads, we'll say it live on the recording. We'll get together next time I'm down Bristol. I'm
I
sure
don't
there's
want
one
to.
there.
I don't want to get my
Oh,
head off.
mate,
I'll have my head off.
that almost never happens, right? Basically, you go and the plate is really hot. Then an amazing chef comes and the flames are coming up and they chop all the food up
Yeah,
and they literally then you pay for this. You open your mouth, they throw it in your mouth
yeah.
like chicken and things like that. And sometimes if you're a drinker, they get the sake and then they squirt it in your mouth. Basically, you go and you're
No,
absolutely ruined by having all this food and you're so full.
can I eat any
And
food off a plate, or does it have to be slung into my mouth?
oh, they do get a plate, and they plate up for you afterwards. But quite a lot
Yeah.
of it, they'll just and like an amazing chef will chop it up in front of you. He does all these tricks, and you'll sometimes go and you'll throw an egg in the air, and you'll catch it on the blade of a knife, and then it'll split.
Oh no, I've seen this.
Ever
Yeah,
such fun. Honestly, I tell you what.
sounds
Even
amazing,
if we
mate.
don't go together, if you've got a special meal coming up, you've got an anniversary, you've got a birthday, get yourself there. You'll have an amazing time.
Got to be somewhere in
Um,
Bristol that does that.
there will be metropolitan place like Bristol, half a dozen. Um, yeah, get yourself in. But yeah, unfortunately for babysitter Annie, something goes a bit awry, and she's flirting with the her and the chef are having a little flirt.
Yeah,
They're
they're just like
making
locking
eyes at
eyes,
each
right?
other,
They're locking
and he's made
eyes.
a little heart out of the rice.
He makes it
Ever
beat.
so lovely.
He makes the
Yeah,
heart beat rice
they're
hard.
very clever. Tell you what,
But what actually? I keep saying it, but what actually
accidentally has her head
happens?
off, doesn't he? Chops her head off with a very sharp knife.
Yeah, but how? He kind of like would just like reach right over and go slice, and it is
I
great,
think
isn't it? Because
he's
like,
just doing a trick, isn't he? And he misses.
yeah. So at the same time, the monkey's playing the drum in the car. They've brought it with them, left it in the car. It's playing the drum. It's chosen who it wants to kill. And I guess like in a Resident Evil laser hallway thing, you know, it
Or
happens, and then she's like, "All right," and then
turns her head
slowly,
round as
just
it then like slips off her head,
lands
shoulders.
on the hot plate as well, right? Face first.
Yeah.
Wow. And then smash cut to the funeral, and pretty pretty traumatizing for Bill and Hal.
Who's the fella that plays the priest?
Oh
I
yeah, very
recognize
good.
him.
He's good. He's just so like, what is he? Just like nonchalant, and he just like, whoa, shit.
It's his name is Nico Del Rio, and
Rookie
I don't
priest.
recognize any of the films he's in, but he must have been in a TV show or something because he's really familiar.
Yeah, yeah. So he was good. So and then there's a moment obviously where Lois is explaining like death to the kids as well, and she's saying like it happens to everyone. It's gonna happen to you. It's gonna happen to me. Sometimes it will die peacefully, just like in our sleep, and sometimes it will be horrible, unexpected,
Yeah,
ruthless.
everyone dies, and that's fucked up.
Yeah, that's like a tagline for
So
this.
they go back to home, and they have a lovely dance.
They have a lovely
And he
dance.
says, and Hal says that like the happiest he ever was. It's just they go back after the funeral and they dance.
Yeah, yeah. Happiest I ever was on the day of a funeral, something like that. Yeah.
She's really good. that playing their mum. I think she should be in more stuff. I know she was in fairly large things with like
Orphan
She-Hulk,
Black.
but she's a great like comedic actor. I think she's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Orphan Black.
she's the best one at conveying the tone that the film's going for. I think like
Yeah,
she really taps into that really well and like she brings energy to the performance and the humor and like the scene you said before where she was telling them about death. I feel like that's Osgood Perkins conveying almost his outlook on what he's trying to
yeah,
do with the film and like linking that back to his parents and what happened with them. Like sometimes it's going to happen randomly or happen naturally or happen. And I think her character is like the vessel for that. And like, I find
yeah.
it's a shame that she's not in the film for that
A
long
bit
because I
more.
think she's
Yeah,
probably the best
It
character in
is
the
a
film.
shame, isn't it? Yeah. And I almost feel like it could have kept her in it. It could have kept her in it. Like I don't think it necessarily needed. I suppose it needed to kill her off because it needed to create that tension between the two characters, didn't it? Like that
yeah.
unspoken tension sometimes as well. That like
She's not here for a long time, but it is a very good time that Tatiana Maslany is on the screen.
yeah,
Um,
because
but before we get to her untimely demise, which is coming right up, I need to talk about how unhinged the bullying is in this because it's such a surreal world that they have
you
a
bloody
gang
love
of
that
girl
monkey, don't you? You love that
a
monkey.
gang of girl bullies that's just waiting
Yeah.
for Hal in the boys' toilets, going, "Here, I've heard your dad's buggered off, and now your mom wears the pants around the house. You know what that means? I'm afraid you aren't allowed to be wearing pants." And you just see him walk into the house like in his underwear
Your
because
pants.
those horrible bullies that are exclusively like it's just a group of girls
Yeah.
have taken his trousers off him, and then the next time in front of an entire school, absolutely just cover him in bananas.
I'm guessing the reason they do that is because just before Bill was like going, "You bloody love that monkey, don't you? Say you love that monkey. Say you wanna." What's he say about the? Say you wanna.
You want to suck his banana?
Say you wanna
You are
suck his
Miss.
banana.
Tell him your name's Mrs. Monkey.
Like it's so ridiculous, but it was pretty funny. And I guess that's the reason they smear loads of horrible banana. That made me feel a bit sick. I feel like all the horrible mushed up banana on the
Okay.
on his head. I was like,
I don't mind the taste of banana, but it's that very texture that I don't. I would hate to be covered in banana.
yeah.
Horrible.
So he winds up the monkey, in order, like he's generally thinking, kill my
But
brother,
he says like, "But he kill Bill, will you?"
kill Bill. Yeah, and obviously it doesn't take
Unfortunately, that's
request.
also copyrighted by someone else, so it can't kill Bill. It's been Pixar again.
Yeah. Um, and then what happens is Bill gets home from school, goes to like see his mum, and basically says like, "What's for dinner? Have we had any dinner yet?" And she is not answering. So I think we almost immediately know something's very very wrong. And she turns around and she's bleeding from the eyes, and she's had an aneurysm, and she dies, which
Yeah.
is
She has
obviously
what's,
not
and they
what was
describe it at the
intended.
funeral that like she's had what's something called like a boomerang aneurysm, and they say it's like very rare, happens to 1 in 100,000 people or something like that. And again, they again reflecting on the life of the writer and director here, saying like all these odds that happen to someone very rarely,
Mm.
and then he just finishes it with, which means it has to happen to somebody.
Which means it has to happen to somebody. Yeah, bloody hell, what a way to go, eh?
I
But yeah,
mean, as far as
obviously,
the other people in this film get to go, she gets off quite
yeah.
lightly.
I guess it was a fairly like obviously normal death, but it was a fairly like uh, not too intense or crazy
She
death.
didn't get exploded in a horrible accident or anything like that.
Yeah. So obviously the boys are devastated, but Hal now has a secret where he knows that because he's done that, his mum has died.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Hal's proper guilty. He takes the monkey, chops it up into bits, and I'm assuming it's blood, right? It's just the monkey's
Yeah.
actually bleeding. Monkey's bleeding, which is strange in itself. And what does he do? He just chucks it
He
into the
says we
garbage
never
truck.
see what happens, but he says he chopped it up, put it in a bag, made sure that he put the bins out that day, and
Yeah,
they went, and
yeah.
then they moved to live with Uncle Chip,
Uncle Chip and
and
Aunt Ida in Maine. Of course, it's Maine. It had to be, didn't it? Uh, yeah, and I guess they're like sort of parent. They didn't really want to be parents, and they say something like, "I never really wanted kids." because I
Plus,
like
we're swingers.
because we're swingers, and also he does say a good thing, which is like not having kids is just sitting down and not having to get up until you want to. And I was
Yeah,
like, pretty much makes sense.
I'm with you, Uncle Chip.
I'm with you, Uncle Chip. Yeah. And then the monkey just randomly appears at that house, and that is when Bill says, "Why did you bring that monkey with us?" And Hal's obviously like, "No, I didn't. I didn't." He's managed to. Luckily, the monkey.
I love
What?
this bit. But because I love the tonal shift in this because it reappears really creepily. They hear the thing and they see his little face outside, right? And then they like, "What have you done and brought this back?" And then they have this discussion where it's like, "We should turn the key. We need to find out." I think you described it earlier, Ben. We should find out if
Because
if it
at this
actually is the
point,
monkey. Then we'll know. Then we'll
because
know if
at this
anyone
point,
dies.
Bill just thinks one person has died from the monkey, and obviously Hal essentially knows that two people have died from the monkey. So he's probably more. No, we shouldn't do that. And it's like, it might not kill anyone. It might not kill someone we know. And then obviously another smash cut.
Immediate smash cut to Uncle Chip's funeral, dead.
Played
This
by
bit was
Osgood
mad.
Perkins. Did we say played by Osgood Perkins? I think we
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
How do you guys feel about director cameos in their own films? I mean, they're obviously, I don't
So
know.
I
I'm on
didn't
board
actually
with
know
them.
that was him. So when
Oh,
I
did you
guess when
not?
I don't know it's the director, I guess it kind
Yeah.
of works, I guess. But the one that always stands out to me, where I don't mind it, but it just stands out, is whenever M. Night Shyamalan does it. It's like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
look, he's just walked
Yeah.
and it's the same when like Quentin Tarantino does it in his films. It's like, oh, it's
He's
just
like, make
it's like
sure
too
there's a
distracting.
foot. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the best one is Quentin Tarantino when, even though he didn't direct From Dusk Till Dawn, he wrote it, didn't he? And he's like, I'm going to write this scene where Salma Hayek puts her feet in my mouth and feeds me like alcohol directly all down. The film needs it, all right? The film just needs it. He
And
loves
also,
feet,
it's
doesn't he? He loves feet.
mad. Like, you have to have a moment to think about that. That is a film where he is a co-lead with George Clooney.
Yeah. That's another film we should do actually on the show
Yeah,
because
we should do Just Till
that's
Dawn.
one of my
But
favorites.
yeah, I don't know. It's hard to overcome. I think old M Night's most recent, where it's like, me? Yeah, I'm the manager of
Yeah.
this pop star.
He
Oh yeah,
used to
that's my
be
daughter
like
there.
he used to be like a very significant character in films that like was almost not like a major character, but a significant character. I guess like in Signs, he was the guy who was driving the car which killed Mel Gibson's
Yeah,
wife.
like a small part, but
A
like a
small part, but a
pivotal one.
significant part. And then as the films go on, he just walks on, just like, all right, it's me. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm at the concert. That's my daughter.
Oh, when he was what was it called in the village when he's like pissed off boss. And he's like, "What do you mean that you
Oh
can't
yeah,
work
yeah, oh, yeah,
tomorrow?"
yeah, yeah. I do remember now.
Um,
Yeah, so they wind up the
yeah,
key.
I
Skip
enjoyed
is
the little appearance with Osgood Perkins. I think it was a funny character.
did the way Osgood Perkins' death remind you of anything, Andy? Dead in a sleeping
Oh,
bag
of course, Prophecy, where that bear fucks that kid into the tree and smashes him to atoms
in a sleeping bag.
in a sleeping
Um,
bag.
so he
But
got trampled to death by a stampede of wild horses. Did they say?
so funny. It's like a hunting accident, by which I mean a hunting accident scared a herd of wild horses, and 36 horses trampled him to death. And and then we have a flashback, and it shows the coroner tipping out the sleeping bag that looks like it's just full of spaghetti sauce,
Yeah. He says they said it was like
like
yeah,
Spaghetti City.
yeah, something like that. Or sort of cherry pie. The
Like someone dropped a cherry pie out of a
yeah,
plane.
brutal. The thing is, I saw that there's like a poster for this film which is like that stuff, like what he gets turned into, and I was wondering when that was gonna pop up. But yeah, what a way to go. Um, so they decide they seal the monkey in its box, chain it up, and throw it down a well, hoping it remain hidden forever.
Yeah, because they can't destroy it, so they've decided we'll just. I think Hal's voiceover says so. We decided we'd like contain it and like
Which I think like
trap
is
it.
what they should probably like what seems to be the goal to do anyway, but risky. So 25 years later, long time for nothing to happen. Hal is all grown up. He's estranged from Bill. His brother hasn't seen his brother in a few years. He's got a son as well, PT, who's like, what was he, like 16 or something like that? That sort of age.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he only sees him once a year out of fear that the monkey will return and kill him. Deadbeat dads are always using that excuse. Well, I can't see him every year because there's a haunted object that's been following me
Yeah.
around. And in
If I love
fact,
him that much, the monkey
yeah,
might get him.
it's just insane, isn't it? I don't know. It's weird how Theo James kind of plays this. I've not really seen Theo James in much. Have you guys seen Theo James in much? No, he's in.
Yeah.
Is it White
I
Lotus?
was I was thinking like when I saw his face, I was like, I recognize this guy from somewhere, but I don't know where. And I went back, and he's in an In-Betweeners movie.
Is he?
He's like the kind of I don't know how to
Wait,
describe him. Like
is
the
he the one?
popular guy
Is
on
he
the
the one who
holiday,
ends up with like shit like on his
the
face or in
main
his
girl,
mouth
I
or
think.
something? Oh my God!
Yeah, like and when
No
I saw the
way!
picture, I was like, that's where I know him from. And that was like the start of his career. He like kind of started
No
around there.
way! Oh man, I love it when you're like, where do I recognize that person from? And it's just like some British like TV show or something or like
Yeah.
British comedy.
Oh, hang on, he's in an
But I
Underworld sequel
imagine.
as well.
Is
Oh
he?
yeah, that was it. Yeah, Underworld. So I imagine for like most Americans, they're probably not that accustomed to him. Like they probably
No.
don't really recognize him from much. They're
He was
probably
in
thinking, "Oh, this is
those.
like a new guy."
He was in those Divergent, Resurgent,
He's
Insurgent
in all those.
Oh
movies.
yeah, yeah.
If you're
I've
into
not. I've
YA
not.
stories, by which I mean young adult, not from Newcastle, you are.
Yeah.
He's in all of those.
I never knew that about the In-Betweeners movie though. So that's pretty hilarious. But to be fair, like he's good in like a dual role. I think like he brings a lot to both characters as well. Even though I don't know, was Bill like how you expected him to be? He was like so different to how I expected him to be. Almost like comic book villain type of
Yeah, I
like
didn't like the
you weren't
other
sure?
side. I didn't
Yeah.
like what they did with the other character. I felt like it.
And a
I
lot
don't
of
know. It just yeah,
potential.
like you said, comic book character villain. It just
Yeah.
didn't seem. I think that's where the tone. Like I think the first act, although I was kind of confused when I was watching it the first time, I think the comedic beats within it like do work. And like say when when that character dies, and it cuts to the funeral, then it does a quick cut to how he died and showing you that. Like I think those beats really work well from a comedic sense. But I think as the film goes on, it like loses its way with like how it starts to present those moments, I
Yeah.
think. And then by the time I think the film had already kind of started to lose me by the time he properly got reintroduced. But when he did, it's like it did feel like a 90s comic book villain kind of
Yeah. It felt
character.
like a Batman Forever villain or something like, do you know what I mean? Like with this big pile of TVs with the monkey on the very top and the fact that he had his childhood suit which he'd like altered to Did you notice he kind of like there was a shirt he had on when he was a kid like with flames on it and he used it to kind of like
Oh
to
yeah, because that's how
enlarge the
we.
suit.
Yeah, because that's how we end after the. I think so. We have that other funeral, one more funeral, and Bill is kind of lying there, and he goes, "Oh, you're gonna take your funeral suit off?" And he goes,
Oh
"No,
yeah, yeah.
because as soon as
Oh,
I take it off, I'll just have to put it on again because there'll be another funeral. So if I never take it off, there
which is
won't be
a
another
brutal
one."
bloody way of looking at life, but you know what? He's onto something there, isn't he? But yeah, so it does go. I felt like there was a lot of different directions they could have taken it in, and there was a hell of a lot of potential for what they could have done with that character. And even another character they introduced, like this other character who wants the monkey as well. Like I kind of like that. Um,
He's really cool. I like him.
yeah, I feel like I
Have
kind
you
of
ever have you guys ever seen or heard of the anime Death Note?
yeah,
Yes.
Because the story kind of I saw someone else mention it, and the story does kind of it could have had the potential to go in that direction where you've got someone who's because like in Death Note is essentially if you write someone's name in the note, that person dies. They'll just
Mhm.
randomly like die. So it's all about like this character that kind of gets that book and is trying to do like a moral thing, like killing criminals with it, and then
Yeah,
he starts to kind of go down this path of like using it for power and he sees himself as a god and this that and like you could have kind of done something like that
yeah,
with this especially with like the relationship with the two brothers and them being at odds with each other and maybe trying to
yeah,
get control of this monkey for whatever purpose but I just felt like the film kind of missed maybe even
yeah.
exploring that relationship between the two of them and what they could have done with that.
Tell you what,
Did you?
sir, a little bit of a side note. If you're a Death Note fan, might I recommend to you episode 2 of a
Well,
79 episode series called Friday the 13th, the television series. That second episode, where there's a magic pen. If you write people's
Yeah, of
name with it,
course.
Oh,
you
really?
can
I
do
didn't
a
even think
murder
of
on them.
that. You're right.
Maybe
So,
Death Note stole that idea.
yeah, episode
I
two
reckon you look deep enough. Basically, every idea Hollywood's had for the last 30 odd years,
comes
all
from
from
Friday the 13th. Did you
Yeah,
guys recognize the guy who was playing Ricky, who was the guy who like got hold of?
Halloween.
It was Halloween. Did you recognize him at the time? No, because I didn't.
Right, it took me about a couple minutes. I was like, that face is so recognizable. Like, where's that from? And then I was like, oh yeah, it's him. It's him.
Andy,
Yeah.
did you get it?
uh, I wouldn't have got it, but Kat mentioned it last week, I think, didn't she?
Yeah, she did, didn't she? Yeah, she
Kat
did.
mentioned it.
Yeah, yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah.
I would have not. Otherwise, I would
I
not have
wiped it
pulled
from
it.
my brain, and I don't think I realized until I was thinking about the film afterwards.
Yeah,
And
I
and,
I
and
was
even then
in
I
the
had to
cinema.
look at the cast, and then it kind of like went, oh yeah, of course, because obviously he's got like this weird kind of like he's like a metalhead. He's got like a weird sort of like haircut, which
Big
is covering his
fringe.
eyes a little bit.
Claudia
Half his face
Winkleman's hair.
covered.
Yeah,
Claudia Winkleman's hair, that's right. Yeah,
Claudia Winkleman's hair. See, I was thinking about it in the cinema, saying, where do I recognize him from? And then I had Cat Hughes's voice echo through
yeah,
my mind and tell me,
it's
bit
him.
like Professor Oak when you try to ride your bike inside. The voice echoes through your mind.
I
Don't
like
do
it.
that.
I like it though. I kind of like the idea of like, I want that thing. Why do you want it? I just do. They kind of like said, oh, it's because it reminds him of his dad. He
I
kind
just
of
like
said,
it.
I just like it. But I kind of like the idea of like being drawn to this thing and wanting this thing, and almost like there's some force that's making you want to turn the key. Like I want to turn the key. I want to see what the monkey does. You know what I mean? And that's the monkey's way of like making you continue to do
Yeah.
that, so it kills people. I don't know, like
So the characters are drawn together again in kind of a dual prong thing. So you mentioned Hal is going to see Petey as he does once a year. And from
yeah,
his side, we see him gathering together, and we get. I love these throwaway characters because we don't ever learn much about
no,
Hal's ex-partner, who he had his son Petey with. What we
no.
do know is that she's in a new relationship now with a professional father who's written several books about being a good father, played by Elijah Wood, and he's in the film so briefly,
Yeah. I
but
don't
is
know,
so
from the
brilliant.
trailer, I thought he would have been there was going to be more for him to do, or like I thought maybe he was going to be a victim, of the monkey.
They
Yeah, I
just
thought he
having
was
a
gonna
wild
die. I thought
time.
that was like the thing. Like if you bring in someone like that for a cameo, it's like, oh, we're gonna kill him off
Yeah,
real quick or
Yeah.
I
something.
thought that as well. Yeah.
I love the thing that's like I'm transferring the parental responsibility over to you, and then when they're
He
having an
took it
argument
without
about
his
said,
permission. He
yeah, he
took it
said,
without
well,
his permission. Oh, I've
he said,
taken it
well,
now.
I've taken your power actually. When we did that exercise, that's just then I took your power. What? Like I did not consent to this.
Yeah, it's
And he
pretty
was like, oh,
funny.
look, and he announces that he is going to adopt PT, and then he needn't see him ever again.
Yeah. So essentially, Hal and PT are spending what is essentially like their last week together, making memories before the adoption takes place, going on
Going
like
to a
a
horror, going to a horror
going to
theme park.
horror themed theme park. I mean, I guess it's not a real place, right? Because I was like, I want to go
Off
there.
we go.
Yeah, I'll be all over it. At the
Three
same
of us get
time,
together, go for a tappanyaki, go to this horror theme park.
oh
What a
mate, what
time!
a day! At the same time, Auntie Ida. So obviously, years after she's raised Bill and Hal, she's living on her own in the same house. Um, obviously somehow the monkey has returned. Um,
Yeah.
it's like a combination of she gets a face full of like fishing
Oh,
flies, wherever
again,
they are,
I
fishing
love
hooks.
how abrupt this is because she hears a noise and goes downstairs, researches, and then it's the classic like nothing's gonna happen when you go down, but it's
Going back
when the tension
upstairs.
is passed and she's walking upstairs, the basement stairs just collapse and she falls into a box full of fishing hooks.
But again, this I guess this is more like Final Destination because all the pieces of this jigsaw puzzle fall into place. Putting that alcohol rub on her face to kind of like treat the injuries, and then smelling gas and going, "What am I going to do? Put my face right down as close as
Yeah.
possible
She
to the hob."
Yosemite Sam's it, checking the barrel of his gun. She's like,
Her face is on fire for so long. It's literally like she's just and again, I love the editing of this because she runs out into like into the front yard, puts her foot in like a plant pot vase thing.
someone's left a vase of
Yeah.
flowers out the front,
And she runs face first into like a sign, which is
a for
like a
sale
for
sign because she is
a for
selling the
sale
house.
sign, which obviously just like obliterates her face. But the cutting when this happens in film, sometimes you go like, Oh no, what's gone wrong? The film's something's gone wrong with the projection. No, it's just great editing. So yeah, obviously that happens, and then all of her items are being sold at a yard sale, and this is when we see this character we mentioned before, Ricky, who turns up and
Finds
gets
the
his
monkey.
paws on the monkey. Yeah, um, yeah. So obviously the
Yeah,
monkey.
which yeah is what brings us kind of back together. And then Petey and Hal are on their road trip, and he's being really evasive. It's like, do you have any brothers and sisters? No, I don't have any brothers and
So
sisters.
Petey's doing like a family tree thing at school or something, isn't he? So he's like, he
Classic
knows
school
nothing about his
project.
dad. Do you have any brothers and sisters? No. What was your mum's name? And he's just telling the truth about that. Um, he's obviously trying to protect him, but at the same point, like it doesn't seem very good for Petey, does it? Uh, so Bill sort of finds out that Ida's been killed. Sorry, no, Hal finds out that Ida's been killed. Bill calls her to tell her. Why do you think someone dies at the motel? Why do you think that's related? I was a bit, I was maybe slightly confused by by why that happened. Like, who, I'm guessing, are we supposed to think that Ricky wound up the?
No, I think Ricky has taken it to Bill because you hear him when he goes home and talks to
Got
his
you.
mom. She says, "Oh, I'm going to take it." She says, "Are you going to take it to that weird guy that never leaves his
That's right. Yeah,
house?"
that's right.
So he is,
So Bill's got hold of it. He's done the key, and obviously for some reason, because Bill's connected to how the the curse of the killing monkey has like just traveled over to How and killed someone nearby. Is that what we're supposed to think?
we'll find out a little bit more in a little bit, but I think Bill knows more than he's letting on here because while Bill is on the phone saying, "You've got to go and sort out Aunt Ida's house and check that the monkey," he's on the phone saying, "The monkey must be back. She's just died really mysteriously.
Yeah,
Go and find where the go and find out, is the monkey there? We've got to keep it safe and never let it out of our sight again."
yeah.
And then while he's having this discussion, a lady about to go in for a swim in the motel pool gets red misted because the air conditioning unit
Is
falls
this
into the
scientifically
water.
possible? Is this scientifically possible? I mean,
I think that was my favorite death in the film. I think that one, and it did kind of have a Final Destination kind of setup to it as well. But I think that last like shot of just the body popping as it touches the water was quite a glorious like shower of blood. Was quite an entertaining visual and quite
and he goes,
I think that played into the wackiness of this story really well.
"Is that a leg? Oh God, is that a leg?" I like it that I think the kills that are the best are the ones which I like it that you can see them coming, but I like it when all these kind of things just like go wrong and
Yeah.
just like lead towards someone dying. That feels very Final Destination. I do also like the side of the kills where they just happen instantaneously and abruptly. I feel like having both of them at the same time might like it kind of pulls both of it in opposite direction. I'm not entirely sure.
I think the best timing for any kill in a film is when another character has just enough time to go, "Watch out for the," and then it's too
Yeah,
late.
yeah. No, 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 no. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty brutal. Oh, okay. So I guess what you're saying is, sorry for misunderstanding, but I guess what you're saying is, I know it's spoiling it, and we will get to it, but Bill is trying to kill Hal, isn't he?
Yes.
Yes. So that's
And
why
he,
that.
at this point, yeah, spoilers for as we reveal later, Bill has the monkey and is turning the key. And I think you'll notice these things happen at or around the time that he speaks to him. He's clearly turning the key and is getting in touch with his brother to
Yeah.
find out if he has been
If
killed.
he's dead, yeah, yeah. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. But he positions it when he speaks to him as, "You've got to go and secure the monkey."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, leave me alone, Bill. You go and do it, mate. Bloody hell." Uh,
So he collects PT, and they've said, "Look, we've got to go and clear out my aunt's house. I'll drop you at home." And he goes, "No, I'll come with you," because he knows about the adoption and wants to go and do it. So he goes with him. Um,
he says, "Wait in the
and
car," and he goes, "No, I need to go to the toilet. I'm one of those kids who can only poop in a house, like proper like."
yeah,
And also the sort of real estate woman like drops Hal in it as well. Basically says your brother called and did this and stuff. And Petey basically finds out, oh, you got a brother. Oh, and he's a twin. Great, you've been lying to me.
yeah, they're
Um,
going. I love this. There's a great scene when the estate agent, or as they say overseas, the realtor, is showing them around the house, showing Hal around the house. and then she just mentions as they're touring around the house all of the fact there's actually been a lot of deaths, and says, "Oh well, funny enough, ever your aunt died, and then after that day, this person died, and then we see like someone getting their face burnt off, another woman
Yeah.
getting bitten in the face by a cobra." And he's like,
Oh yeah.
"Are
Oh,
there
I mean,
cobras in Maine?" Well,
I
there
guess
was
this is
one.
a great opportunity just to show like a real quick cut of all these different ridiculous kills that people have been randomly dying all over the place. And again, yeah, the connection is that Bill's been winding the key.
And
Yeah.
I just love the thing. It's like, yeah, ever since last Monday, in fact, there's been one, sometimes two, three, four deaths a day.
Yeah. It's it is pretty mad. But yeah, we see some good kills. Obviously, the lawnmower, the cobra ripping someone's throat out. What else was there? Did you say?
Just a man whose face was on fire. Like, it just there's like a skeletal face.
Oh yeah, like something like the coffee machine, like just sprays
Oh,
like
that's
the
it. It's like a barista, and it steams his
steams his
face
face
off.
off. Bloody hell, mate. But then also what happens is the realtor is trying to open a certain door with a key, and when as soon as she opens it, a falling shotgun turns her into red mist.
Custard
And this is the scene from the trailer as well, where Hal's covered in blood. I think where does he pull a finger out of?
with his mouth.
Oh Jesus, no way.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, this is all pretty this is all pretty insane. Um,
I love how the police just absolutely take his word. Like, literally, you see him interview the police. Like, the detective is like,
oh yeah, that's when she says
oh,
it's like spaghetti junk. It's like
yeah, it's like spaghetti city in there. But she goes, like, they've said, so did you know there was a gun in the house? No. Like, oh, this
yeah.
just happened? Yeah. And they're like, okay. The police have decided, yep, this is a completely legitimate accident that's just happened.
Mm. Uh, yeah, and then what happens next? Bill calls them again, doesn't he? And I think is it revealed
Again,
then?
this is checking in, right? Is like, is Hal there? It's like, yes. Is PT available? Yes, he's also fine. And
Yeah.
again, we're positioned right now that he's checking up to see if they're okay, and he's asking if they know where the monkey is. Again,
Mm.
we are not let into the fact that Bill has the monkey, and
Yeah.
he's trying to see if they were killed.
We see a scene where Ricky goes to Bill and like yeah, I guess Bill's got like a how can we describe it? What does he
Like
call
a
it? Like
fortress. He's
for
got like a Batman villain hideout.
that's why it feels like Batman villain, doesn't it? It's because it's like a fortress, because he's got the monkey on like top of all this big pile of TVs. It's
Yeah.
very like it's very Batman Forever, but you know,
Yeah, he has like a secret base.
yeah. Um
Like, it could be like, if it was possible for his house to be in the shape of a big monkey, it would be.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Ricky basically goes there. He's like, "Can I have the monkey back? Can I just borrow the monkey for a couple of days? Because I really like that monkey.
I think it just reminds me of my dad.
It reminds me of my dad." And again, what's weird is that like absent fathers is a very very interesting running theme in this film as well. And with the I listened to the audiobook as well, and like it is something that's kind of discussed a lot as well. That obviously with Ricky, he's like is he doesn't know where his dad. Does he just not know where his dad's gone? His dad like
Well,
fallen
his
through?
mom describes that he's either like on the gamblers or under a prostitute, is what he
Oh yeah,
said, is
that's
what
right.
she says, I think.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, very, very like in very like middle America, a middle American family here with a kid with an absent father, maybe a brother who's got PTSD of some sort of like
Army
military,
brother and
an army
punk
brother,
brother.
um, and then, but yeah, the theme of absent fathers obviously you get it with the boys, and Hal is almost like grown up into again another character who's trying not to replicate the problems that his dad caused for him, but he's almost like in his way of trying not to do it, he's doing it even worse. So it's a very interesting like sort of running
Like
theme.
Smile and the Wolfman. Generational trauma strikes again.
Yeah, but in a way
I
that's
thought
not
the
like
kid actor
yeah, go on, sorry.
conveyed it really well. I thought he was good. Well, he's not a kid; he's a teen. But I thought he conveyed like the friction in that relationship really well
Mm.
between him and his dad, and like when he finds out about the brother, and what that kind of creates in him, and like the kind of resentment because he lied about it. I thought that aspect of it was played
Yeah.
really well by that young actor.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
Colin
was good.
O'Brien. Do you recognize him from anything else?
Don't think so.
No, although I think I searched it up and he was in something recognizable. I can't remember what it was.
He's
Definitely
in
was.
Wonka,
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah.
which I haven't
Was that little
seen.
young? He
Oh, he
plays young
plays
Willy Wonka.
young Willy Wonka.
Interesting.
I was going to say he had
Um,
Mike TV energy, but he's not. He's all right.
he had like yeah, but that friction, yeah, he did well with that, and kind of like the frustration, I guess, as well. Like he wants a relationship with his dad, but I think he almost gets pushed to a point in this film where he's like, well, it doesn't matter anyway because this is our last week together. You're never gonna have to see me again. I'm gonna get adopted, whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm going to be adopted by Elijah Wood.
yeah. Uh,
Um,
so yeah, Ricky goes after trying to get the monkey from Bill. Ricky goes back home and goes, right, that's it. Goes and gets, I guess, what is his dad's gun out
yeah,
of a like shoebox, and
yeah.
he starts to
Gunny's
put the
going for a
wheels in
little
his plan.
holiday. Gets him, and he
Gunny, can I have a go on Gunny, please? Um,
yeah,
so he
um,
goes to the
kidnaps them basically.
yeah, kidnaps them at gunpoint, takes them to the fortress, and basically says, "Hal and PT, you have to go in there and get the monkey and bring it out to me because I bloody want it." And the plan is to get PT to go in through the like little doggy door and just go up there and nab it, I guess. And obviously, and Hal
Yeah,
as a basically says, if you see it, don't turn the key no matter what.
whatever you do, don't
Yeah.
turn the
Because
key.
PT at this point as well. Sorry, because Bill at this point wants PT to turn the key because he thinks it's going to kill Hal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he kind of positions that as a threat, right? He like says like he's going to turn the key because otherwise I'm going to keep doing it.
I'll keep doing it
Because
forever and ever and ever
Hal
until
works out just before they get kidnapped. Hal works out that Bill must have
yeah, let's have the monkey.
the monkey because he gets a phone call from and he 147 him and then finds it in the phone book as Mrs. Monkey.
Oh
And then
yeah.
he has an answer phone message saying, I've actually retrieved the monkey I was after now, so he knows.
Yeah, so he put out like an ad, didn't he, when he was trying to get hold of the monkey, which obviously Ricky saw. Um, yeah, I mean, in terms of differences between the characters that Theo James plays, they've gone right. You're play it pretty straight as Hal, be a bit over the top and Batman villain as Bill, and also you're gonna have a bit of a mullet going on, uh, because that's gonna show you that someone's a little bit unhinged. Um, yeah, and PT goes in through the fortress and avoids all of the like I want to say Home Alone traps, but these are like next level. This is like one wrong move and you're dead. Several samurai
Sword trap.
swords.
Yeah,
Sword trap,
John
yeah, that's
Kramer
better. That's a better
traps.
way of describing it. Yeah. Um, I was worried for Hal when Hal came in. I thought he's no way he's going to avoid these bloody traps. But Petey managed to avoid them pretty well. Goes in and yeah, I mean, he's not very tactful about it. He's not very solid snake about sneaking in and grabbing the monkey and getting out of there, is he?
Yeah, well, he walks in, and the thing is, like, he hasn't been fully brought into it, has he? So he doesn't know what to believe, and he just goes, "Oh, hey,
Yeah.
Uncle Bill," and Bill comes down and says, "Oh, could you turn the handle of this thing? It just needs a different." And he's intrigued enough that he completely ignores. And why would he? He
Yeah.
hasn't got a very close relationship with Hal, so why would he necessarily trust what he says implicitly? So we see him turn the key on the monkey.
Yeah. The one thing his dad told him not to do, eh? Bloody hell. I guess in the same way the boys did it, it's almost like that confirmation for him. Is this actually a thing? Is this actually what it's
Yeah,
going to do?
this is actually because you would struggle to believe it, right? That this is going to be there's a spooky monkey that plays the drums and then people die. But then he plays the drums and we return to outside where a bit like in Friday the 13th, the series, episode 3 with the Cupid, there's a bee's nest that's going to
Oh
call
God.
someone.
It's linked to everything. Every single episode is linked.
Yeah.
Where you find out that show is like one of the most influential things in horror
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
we've been picking from for decades.
I'm looking forward to it. There's going to be just a stream of content. I will see your new episodes going.
Yeah.
So I was put on to this new series. It turns out this is the central crux by
Oh,
which all of the horror revolves. I found
Can't
the
wait.
secret.
Can't wait to dig into it, mate.
Um, so yeah, there is a bee's nest. In messing about and itchy because this police hat is a bit itchy. Um, our kidnapper is rubbing his temple with a police hat, and he accidentally shoots through the window
Oh Jesus.
directly into the hornet's nest. and they proceed to form a big exclamation mark because they've been startled,
A
and
big
then
fist.
they
Make a big fist out of
yeah,
bees.
well they literally make a beeline straight through the hole in the
Oh, mate.
windscreen
I love it,
into
mate.
that guy's mouth.
Yeah. This.
The effect of this was brutal.
Yeah. It was brutal, and the way they were like just all coming out of his face afterwards as well was
Yeah, like
pretty
bubbling
cool.
out from under his skin and crawling out. They don't hold back with this. I reckon that might be one of the worst ways to get it now. Being filled up with bees.
Yeah.
I can think a
Devastating.
few worse ways to go.
Yeah. Um. After that, what happens where Bill ends up giving Peter like a backhander, doesn't he? He almost like tries to like be nice to him and be like, I'm your uncle. I'm your Uncle Bill. Like, you should do what I say." And then as soon as he says no, he just goes, "Right, that's it. Get
Right, that's it.
slapped.
Have it. Yeah. So
Have
they
it."
they Al comes in. They confront Bill together,
Yeah.
and he kind of says like, "This isn't fair. I wanted you." And he tries to get Petey to do it again.
Mm.
He loses temper with the monkey, and it's like, "I command
Oh
you."
yeah. He's like trying to force the monkey to drum, isn't he? In a
Yeah,
desperation, like just drum and then kill my brother. But the monkey just
and he
never
reveals
yields.
why, right? Because
Yeah.
Bill worked it out. Said as soon as we let that go, and it fell down the well, I realized that you had turned the key and you had killed my mom, and I swore that I
Mm.
was going to get it back. And it shows that he went back and only the key was there. So he's been searching for the monkey so he could finally take his revenge on his brother
Yeah. Well, it shows him
and
going
kill
down
him.
into the well and getting it after when they were kids as well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Originally.
and he goes down. He only finds the key, so he's been waiting to find the monkey so he can use it, which is what he's been
That's
doing.
right. That's right.
But
Yeah.
then when he tries to force the monkey, everything just goes awry. We look out the window and there is literally a plane falling out of the sky, a plane that was teased earlier because they talk about how they do parachute weddings, they do skydiving
Oh yeah,
weddings.
this was good. This was good. I did like this. Yeah. So obviously the monkey starts drumming uncontrollably, which is just killing people randomly. A plane crashes, and then some skydivers fall
Fall from the roof of the
through
house,
the roof,
smashed through
and
like
that
a
was
bride.
yeah.
A mangled bride on a
Did you
parachute
do
tumbles through
skydives
the
at night?
roof.
Did you do skydives at night? Can't do that, can you? Dangerous.
No,
Dangerous plot
Yeah,
hole
it
there.
sounds like something that would be too dangerous to
Yeah,
be.
it does, doesn't it?
But how could you see where you're going?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Uh, so that happens, and right, basically right when Hal and Bill are sort of discussing everything that happened with their mum, like that, what happens to Bill? Because they kind of like reconcile, don't they, and apologize just before
they
this
come to
happens.
terms with it. The monkey's hand is still up. It's worth saying. The monkey's hand is still up, and they kind of reconcile. He goes like, it was an accident. It's no one's fault apart from this mad bloody monkey. And I know how you feel about your mom dying because she was my mom too. And they kind of have a bit of a breakthrough. And he goes, actually, yeah, I had never thought about it like that. And then they
Yeah,
kind of have a
it was
lovely
your mum
family
too.
moment.
Oh, bloody
They,
hell.
they
It
have like
says
a
here
lovely
that
family
Hal's.
breakthrough.
It
And they
says
say,
here,
oh, I'd love to go to a horror themed theme park. And just
come
as
with
he's
us.
decided that,
Hmm.
a bowling ball is fired out of a cannon and smashes his head off.
Where did this bowling ball come from? Because I always thought, was this in early on in the film? Was it like
Yeah,
Chekhov's bowling ball?
it was Hal as a young man fantasizes about as a kid fantasizes about dropping the bowling ball
That's right. Yeah,
on
I
his
remember
brother's
now.
face. And I assume it's something that his dad got for his mom because it has his mom's name written on it.
That's right. I do
And he
remember now.
dreams early in the film about dropping it on his face and smashing his head in.
Yeah. It says here
But
that
now he does.
Hal's ex-wife and Ted are killed in the ensuing chaos. Did I miss that? I don't think I
I
have.
No,
didn't
well,
pick up that
that
at
wasn't
all.
shown. No, yeah,
No,
that didn't.
that wasn't shown. It's here in the synopsis, but maybe that was in like a different cut of it. I don't know. We didn't see it.
Which is
I know we
interesting.
got
It's interesting to hear because now it's like, oh, what else was chopped away from the
Yeah, it would have
end?
made.
Because
I
I
guess it would
found
have
it
made sense. Sorry, go on.
like I found that part of the film quite interesting because I was thinking, oh, like I thought at that point we were kind of going into like the last 20 minutes or so, and I thought, oh, it's going to get really like apocalyptic now with this out of
Yeah.
control. And I thought that's where the big crescendo was going to be. Is that we're just going to get like a flurry of non-stop death scenes,
Yeah.
and it kind of stopped too soon. Like,
It only kind of
and I
shows
was
us that one scene of them driving through the town, I guess, and we see like loads of stuff.
Yes, that's
the
weird.
pram on fire.
I
And
wonder if we get we see a pram on fire, like you say, Terrell. We see people been run over by their lawnmowers. There's all sorts. The town is a wreck after Bill is killed with a thing. But really interesting that Hal's ex-wife and Elijah were meant to get killed off. 'Cause I didn't catch that at all.
No.
it makes
No.
more sense now, given like what we said before, where it's like you cast someone like Elijah Wood in that role, you're kind of expecting him to die, like
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially if it's like a cameo-ish type role. So, but I wonder what the reasoning would be of why they decided not to show that.
maybe they've kept it for something because I like, or maybe it is just a cut we've had in different countries or what have you. I know that in
Could
some
be like the little
cinemas,
extended cut Blu-ray that's like 30
Yeah.
seconds longer and all that scene in there.
maybe there is some of the yeah. I know in some cinemas in the US there is an end credit scene which is a trailer for Osgood Perkins' next film. We didn't get that here. I certainly didn't.
Is there? What is his next film?
It's called like The
I can't remember the
Getaway or The
name,
Retreat or something like
but
that.
it's out in October. Yeah.
Oh, to be fair, like he's cracking them out.
Yeah.
And that one's got Tatiana Maslany in it as well. That one.
Oh, it does. Keeper.
Oh,
Keeper,
that'll be
apparently, it's
good.
called.
Keeper.
Yeah.
A word completely different from either of those things I just said.
Exactly. Oh yeah, so then we get this scene where they're driving through the desolated town and we see like everything's on fire. Someone's walking, running along with a pram and that's on fire. Someone's got like a surfboard through them and they like sort of impaled for a surfboard for a
Surfboard, the
tree.
guy impaled with a surfboard just in the
Yeah.
middle of a town.
Yeah. And I think so
And
Hal and Petey are now like we're the monkeys owners. We have to keep it close. We have to prevent the key from ever being wound again. And I guess because I think someone says at some point, "Oh, isn't it weird that your brother has just completely desolated your hometown?" So I guess we're supposed to think it's only this town. It's not like a worldwide thing that's happened because that I guess it would be kind of mad, wouldn't it?
maybe that's why they changed it then. Maybe that's what they took. If they have
Yeah.
taken those things out, it was just to have it follow.
And then there's a moment. So obviously, like the Pale Horseman is mentioned a few times when talking about death in this film, and then we get like a literal representation or the actual Pale Horseman wandering past. What do you think of this? What's this supposed to represent? Is this supposed to just represent? Is Hal just kind of seeing this? Is he imagining this, or is this real?
Just to laugh in it.
Yeah, I
It's
was I
just
was kind of confused. I was like, wait, what's this? No, I don't think I made the connection at the time. But I kind of just saw it as, oh, is this like death? Like
Yeah, I
yeah.
think
death, carnage is being caused. Like this is the entity, not entity, but like this is the force that's making all
I
this
think it
happen.
is
Or
meant to be like, yeah, there is because he talks about how like he's not suggesting that he saw, a prediction or like an omen of death. But I guess now he's been involved in it, he actually does see it. And it's never necessarily broken out whether they both see it, whether it's just Hal thing or whether PT notices it as well. But basically, while they're waiting at the traffic lights, Death rides past on a horse, gives them like a little nod.
make sure.
Second best Death cameo in a film, of course, after Ian McKellen in Last Action Hero. Um,
Also,
and
are you bothering
chips
following
on.
the rules of the road when like the town's been like desolated by by death and better stop at the
Oh, I
traffic
think you would. I
lights?
think you'd follow them more
Okay,
cautiously than
okay.
ever, because that'd be when it got you.
So there's a moment, and then Hal basically says to his dad, "Should we go dancing?" And then Peter's like, "What? With our bodies?"
It's like,
And,
yes.
and he's like, "Yeah, because it's something that his mum loved doing." And I guess he's thinking that was the last time I was truly
Happy.
happy.
And then
But
as they
if
drive
the thing
away,
is, if there was a moment where we see Hal's ex-wife and Ted being killed, we'd know that Hal and his son were like together now. But I guess it's
yeah,
still up in the air at this point. Whether
maybe it
he's
has
together.
literally been. Maybe it could be that we all, the three of us, had a momentary lapse in concentration, everything, and we all missed them being killed. Or
Potentially,
it
yeah.
could be that they've chosen to save them in case they bring them back for another one if this does well.
Well, the person on Wiki might have just got it wrong themselves. Just imagined it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure that happened. They hate Elijah Wood. They were like, oh, well,
Yeah.
great, he's dead.
Kill him off in this.
There we go. That's the
Um,
end. That's the film.
and then we just see the final bit because it's another one of the surreal moments. A couple of times in the film, we see some cheerleaders
Oh
for
yeah.
no
Oh my God, I forgot
reason,
about this. Yeah.
just celebrating something, and then a bus full of them goes past, and then a truck comes the other way and takes all of their heads off
Takes all their
as a
heads off. And there we
final
go.
ending beat.
There we go. There we go. Right. What should we do? Should we rate it? Should we rate the film, Andy? Should we do that?
Yeah, unless you want to play any games, Ben, I got some rhymes for you.
Have you got some rhymes, mate? If you've
Got
got
some
some
rhymes for
rhymes,
me.
I would absolutely love that. So I guess we're doing something a little bit different occasionally to name game. We're doing some.
Oh, it is the name game.
Oh,
Sorry,
it
I've
is a
not
name
got
game. I
poems
thought you were
again.
going to do a
Well,
little limerick.
poems like last time. I don't know if you've heard this, Ben. It's actually quite tricky to
Yeah.
rock a rhyme. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
but if
So
you got
just
any
a
name
regular bit of
game,
name game.
if you got any name game, let's go for it. Do you remember how this works, Terrell? I mean, it's pretty simple,
I
isn't it?
don't know.
It's
I could,
basically we'll give you a
So
synopsis to a film that rhymes with the monkey, and yeah,
imagine our friends at the asylum have exclusively done rhyming titles. I
yeah.
say
oh,
rhyming.
so, so
Very.
have I got to just make one?
I'm gonna
Like make
make. I'm
up
gonna
them.
give you a synopsis of a film, and you can tell me what the title
You
would
can give,
be.
yeah.
Right.
Um,
You'll get it after one. I always say that.
so
Hopefully.
the synopsis I'm working with is twin brothers find a mysterious wind-up monkey. A series of outrageous deaths tear their family apart. I'm going to
Yes,
go with that. So,
correct.
um, in this film, twin brothers receive a mysterious wind-up monkey, and a series of outrageous deaths tear their family apart. When they reconvene 25 years later, they've all put a little bit of weight on.
The chunky?
The chunky, very good.
There we go. As simple as that. I was like going, "Excuse me, I don't understand." Uh, Again, this might work for you depending on what era you grew up in. I'm hoping you know this, Terrell. I know you're slightly younger than us, but still. When twin brothers find a mysterious wind-up equine figurine with two presenters, two childhood TV show presenters on SMTV Live. Do you remember what this is, Andy?
No, I can't. I'm not sure of that one.
So an SMTV Live,
I'm using the word equine correctly, aren't I? A four-legged,
like an os.
yeah, like an os, but not quite an
Yeah.
os.
Oh, so is it like they used to play Wonky
They,
Donkey on there? Is that what it is? Is it the donkey?
it's the wonky donkey.
The Wonky
It's
Donkey.
the wonky donkey. Do you remember that, Terrell, or not?
No.
Oh, you're too young. They used to play a game, Ant and Dec, where they had like an animal and like you had to call in and like say something that rhymed with it. They describe it. It was pretty stupid to be fair,
It's a
but
precursor to this very game, in fact.
it's a precursor to
Um,
this game. Exactly, it is.
don't worry if you thought Ben's was niche, strap in. Um, in this film, twin brothers find uh, a dessert, a novelty dessert that you can only really get at Indian restaurants that looks like a penguin with a mohawk. You can eat your ice cream out of it if you're a kid.
I know exactly what that is, but I don't remember what it's called.
Exclusively sold by Indian restaurants in the UK.
Yeah, what was that? What
It
was
has a
that?
name. Imagine this. You're at the curry house. You're looking through the menu. Look at the dessert menu, and there's that picture of that mohawked penguin full of ice cream. What's he called?
I honestly don't remember.
Give you
I
a clue. It
remember,
I've got
rhymes
no
with.
idea.
I remember getting it when I was a kid,
Give you a
but
clue. It rhymes with the monkey.
the plonky.
He's a penguin. He's got a mohawk. Ben, think of his style. Think of his fashion. What might he be?
The
The
punky.
punky.
The punky. That's right.
Of all
American listeners, Google
clues you
punky
could-
penguin ice cream.
all the clues you could have given us.
Imagine
what,
the picture I'll be posting on Instagram for this week, Ben. The punky is going to make an appearance.
Uh, I love it, man. I love it. When twin brothers find a mysterious wind-up monkey, a series of outrageous deaths tear their family apart. But when he's got that thing around his neck, but when he goes to put it in, it doesn't work at all. It's completely the wrong one. He should go to Timpson's and get a new one made. It's the
wrong key.
It's the wrong key.
The
Exactly.
wrong key.
Yes. There we go.
Um,
Thanks
in
for
this
laughing.
film, twin twin brothers find a mysterious wind-up toy in their dad's old collectibles. Tell you what though, it's pretty sexy, this toy. What an attractive, muscular fellow it is.
Sexy toy. Hunky.
The hunky. Very good.
He's finding toys sexy. You dirty
Wants
boy.
to marry it.
I'm trying to think about how I can deliver this one. This might be quite niche. I hope you both know this, but you know, you might.
More niche than Indian restaurant ice creams.
And maybe not more niche than that. When twin brothers find a mysterious wind-up dog, a series of outrageous deaths tear their family apart, and they soon find out that this dog was owned by none other than Elvira in the movie Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Do you remember what the dog was called in that? So again, bloody
What's his
neat.
name? I mean, is his name Spunky, like Rocco's Modern Life's dog?
No, it's how was I going to describe it? It's the same name as like a little Christmas gnome man. What are they called?
Little Christmas gnome man.
I didn't know. To be fair, I didn't know these things existed until recently either. Little Christmas gnome man. Some people have them like displayed around. Little Christmas gnome fella.
I have no idea what those are called. Okay.
Tell you what,
I just got the picture of a gnome, random gnome in my head now.
my points of reference are terrible. But a little Christmas gnome man is called a gonk, and the dog,
The little
Elvira's dog.
dolly's made out of socks. They're gonks.
Is that what a gonk is? Well, I might be getting it wrong. Elvira's dog's called the gonk. This
The
film's
gonk.
called the gonky.
The gonky.
This is terrible, mate. This is a particularly bad
All right.
turnout.
Here's
for
my
me.
next one for you. In
You
this
still got
film,
more.
loads rhymes with monkey. In this film, twin brothers get together and they find what is ostensibly the monkey, but he's got little star-shaped sunglasses on and a real jazzy suit.
The
Listens to disco music instead of I'd like to be beside the seaside.
disco music.
Instead of playing that song, it plays like Disco Inferno.
Bee Gees. John Travolta.
How would you
know.
describe this creature?
How would I describe this creature?
He's got star sunglasses on, big suit, plays disco music, rhymes with
Mate.
monkey. You would say he was
Hunky.
not hunky.
I've already done
His,
that.
drunky.
his attractiveness has nothing to do with it.
I don't know, mate. You're gonna have to give me
Plays
it.
a little bit of slap bass sometimes, maybe.
Funky.
The funky, of course.
Oh yeah, of course. That's like probably the most obvious one.
Jesus, mate. Is that it? Because
I think I'm done.
did you also notice in this film that there was a character in it called Annie Wilkes? Did you hear someone say that?
Yes, is that
Like-
babysitter Annie?
Yeah, and apparently there's a character referred to as Torrance as well. So there's obviously a couple of little Stephen King trivia moments in there as well. Okay, there we go. We got to rate the film A to F, pluses and minuses allowed. Rate good or rate bad. Terrelle, where would you stand on this? I know you weren't entirely convinced, but has even discussing it some more made you appreciate
Have we talked you round, Terrelle? That's the main thing.
It's one of those things where it's like, even when I watched it, it's like I can see what it's trying to do. I just don't think it, and I could respect that it for some people I think it will work, but I think it is the type of humor that it's operating on. I think if you engage with that, I think you can like it, and then if you don't, you're gonna feel a bit up and down on it, like I did, and it's annoying because it's one of those films like I really wanted to like, and even like watching it and then even talking about it just then, I'm like, oh yeah, there are some things that there's bits I've picked up on, like with even just the fact that the brother was kind of all along in the background, kind of orchestrating things. Like I didn't think I really picked that up on that throughout my first watch. So there are little things that I've appreciated more about it, but I still think the tone overall is just a bit I think it's just doing too many different things tonally at once. Whereas if it's set on one of those things, I think it could have been better overall.
Hmm.
Um, so I think I'd give it like a C minus,
Okay.
C minus. I
Fair
think
That's
enough. I
fair.
think.
yeah.
That's fair.
I think I agree with a lot of stuff you said there, like in terms of the tone. Just discussing it then, I feel like when we got to the moment of at the house and woman getting blown to bits by the shotgun, I feel like unfortunately that was the moment for me where it just went a bit downhill. I feel like everything from there onwards, with the reveal of the brother and the kind of like the fortress and the big plan and the Batman villain and like the bigger scale of like multiple people dying in this town, like I don't know, I feel like that was the moment where I was a bit like, oh, it's not kind of gone in the direction I wanted to or wanted it to. And I'm just thinking back to last week's rating where I gave Heart Eyes a B. I feel like at this point, I mean, I definitely enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it, and I think it is a good film. But yeah, tonally, it is a bit all over the place. I kind of wanted it to go in one direction or another, and it kind of just didn't quite get there for me. So I'll probably give her a B minus based on that. I still enjoyed it, and I think it is a fun watch. It's something to recommend to people. But I think genuinely, if you want to watch Final Destination on steroids, you're probably just gonna go and watch a Final Destination film. I think that comparison's probably not fair. How about you, Andy?
I like this as I revealed earlier, like stupid shit. I like it that the like I don't want to say it's an absence of rules. I What I really vibed with in this film is that the rule is that you cannot predict it. You cannot control it, with the exception of it appears that the person that turns the key doesn't die, but otherwise all bets are off and there is no pattern or prediction. It's a bit like, the whole message behind the film. It's like life. And I like that it is stupid and I like that it is random. And I really, really enjoyed the speed of it. Like, we talked about that mashup where we just showed a few seconds of it. Such efficient use of, exactly what's happened. We've got a nice little set piece, and I liked the flippant nature of it. That is just me, and I definitely agree with everything both of you have said. I think it has a lot of great stuff to recommend it. Is it for everyone? No, absolutely not. And that is no reflection on them. I think this is a film that has a particular style about it that will or won't vibe with your tastes. In this circumstance, it hits mine very much so, and it's probably one of my front runners for this year. Coin toss between that or Companion so
Oh
far
wow.
as
Okay.
films I've enjoyed most this year. So that said, a B plus for me after a single watch, and I look forward to seeing it again. And I think the thing I took away from this was I'm looking forward to this being on home video release and having it on again. This is a film. We talk about Hangout movies. This is a movie that you have got some friends coming round. You can stick this
Yeah.
on. It doesn't matter if someone's leaning over and having a bit of a chat about something. It doesn't matter if someone nips out to open another couple of drinks from the fridge. They'll be able to get back in. They'll be able to enjoy this where it's going. I think a really great, strong hangout movie.
Oh yeah, definitely. I agree with that. There we
Yeah.
go then. That is the monkey. Where can our listeners keep up to speed with you, Terrell, and everything you put out in terms of
Uh,
reviews, podcasts, and everything like that?
so on YouTube now, I've got a Horror Mania channel that I've recently started up on YouTube to do YouTube videos on that now as well.
Oh,
And
nice.
then
Back on
I've got
YouTube now.
the yeah, escapism hub.blogspot.com is where I've got like all of my written reviews for just films in general of all genres. And those are like the
Oh,
two
nice.
main places that feels like it switches every single time. Oh, come on. Like it's a different place every single time. But yeah,
Can't
that's
hold
my
him
two
down.
main.
He's all over
Uh,
the place.
and then on
Yeah.
Twitter at Terrell Graham on Twitter as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Nice one.
I
Brilliant
think it
stuff.
was after last time we got together, Terrell. I went and listened to all of your audio podcasts on your audio feed. It's like we'd spent a weekend together. I think I just blitzed the whole like I just blitzed the whole lot, and I really like your. It's something I couldn't do. I need an audience, and I need people to be able to talk back and forth with. I think you do some wicked work at just doing a real nice tight discussion of a film with your audio reviews. So
Oh, thank
always
you. I
enjoy
appreciate that.
those.
Good stuff, man. Solo podcasting is a talent in itself. I don't think I could do it either, but yeah, go and check it out. Well, I'll put the links to all of that stuff in the show notes as well. So thanks, Terrelle, for joining us. Thanks to everybody else for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music. Thanks to Acast and Rusty Quill for hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review and head over to horrorhangout.co.uk for everything in one place, all of our social media, latest episodes, YouTube, and everything like that. Next week, as I mentioned already, it's a new month, so we've got a whole new lineup of films to cover, and we start with A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. So looking forward to that.
What a time. And then, of course, second week's confirmed as well because you're off to Fright Fest in Glasgow.
Flight Fest.
Flight Fest. Easy for you to say.
It's easy for you to say. We're off to Fright Fest in Glasgow. Yeah, and we've got a couple of other guests lined up, so we'll confirm the details for that. Keep an eye on our socials this week. We'll be announcing our March lineup. But yeah, that was fun. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And thanks again, Terrelle.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it, man.
In the
Join us
meantime,
again
everyone,
very
what
soon.
should everyone look out for, Ben, in the upcoming week?
Look out for shotguns in closets, flying bowling balls that could obliterate your head. What else? Lawnmowers.
So most importantly, don't call it a toy. Like, never.
Don't call it a toy, mate. Don't call it a toy. And, well, Terrelle, we'll see you again. Join us for, wait, what film did we say?
About Blood and Black Lace.
Yeah, Blood and Black Lace. I know you just went Black Lace, but that's a very, very terrible 80s novelty.
Yeah. Today, we're reviewing the song Agadoo. Well, I will see you all for our lovely teppanyaki dinner. Don't get your head chopped off, everybody.
Don't get your head chopped off. Just stand back, I would say. Keep your knives blunt and just stand back. Right. Okay. See you later,
Please do.
everybody.
Good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.